Folks have a seat.
Mr. K, you rented a room from the defendants. They evicted you. You claim evicted you without proper notice. You want some money back.
Correct.
You want your security back.
Yes.
You paid last month's rent, which you want back. Mr. and Mrs. Salter say that you were a terrible tenant, that they evicted you for cause because you terrorized another tenant, and that you can't have your money back because the security was used to fix your room when you moved out, and the last month's rent, sort of interesting, they say they gave that to another tenant to make her feel better.
Well, not in those words, Your Honor.
Well, I mean, I'm reading between the lines.
Oh, okay.
That's what you say you did. You had to compensate this other tenant to get her to move back. Would that be you? What's your name?
I'm Hasmeek.
Yes, it would be her. I had to give it to her to get her to move back because she was so terrorized by this man. He doesn't look terrible to me.
Well, false image.
Okay. When did you move in, Mr. K?
That was on the 1st of July.
You were going to school?
Yes.
What
Well,
school?
not during the summer. I go to Santa Barbara City College.
What year are you in?
I'm going to transfer to San Luis Obispo about a year from now as an engineer.
What year are you in?
I've been in school for a very long time. Call me a sophomore.
You can tell
Call
me,
a
I've
sophomore.
heard you're going to be a sophomore after how many years, Mr. K?
Well, my previous two departments were budget cut, and I had to restart school. I've been in school since 2000.
That's more than even a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
How old are you?
26.
You got to finish, you know. Because if you don't finish, you're never going to grow up.
I'll grow up.
What?
I will grow up.
Eventually. Okay. Moved in July 1st, 2007. The rent was?
$750.
Was it a room?
Yes.
Other tenants?
There were 3 tenants downstairs and 3 siblings of the property owners upstairs.
3 tenants in 3 separate bedrooms?
Yes.
This young lady was one of them. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. K, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No, I have not.
Ever been convicted of a misdemeanor?
No, I have not.
Ever been incarcerated?
Nope. Does the drunk tank count?
Yes.
Okay.
And when was that?
About 8-9 months ago.
Prior to that?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So once was an alcohol-related arrest,
Correct.
disorderly conduct.
Yeah, I think so.
Other than that, nothing.
No.
All right, so not bad. Now, $750. You gave them first and last
First and last,
and security.
and security.
How much did you give them in total?
The first total check was for, okay, 15. I'm going to call it 1,800. I believe.
$1,750?
1,800.
Yes, it was.
How much?
It was $1,800.
Yeah.
$1,800, which was $1,500 for first and last, and $300 security.
Correct.
You moved in July 1st. When were you evicted?
I was evicted on August 15th.
Had you paid August's rent?
Yes, I had.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So what you're asking for is the $300 security deposit, $750 for the last month's rent.
Correct.
And half of the $750 because you were evicted August 15th. Did you move out August 15th?
I was effectively out of the property, and I was given till the 31st to get the rest of my belongings.
And did you?
Yes.
So that you really lived there during the month of August.
No, I left on the 15th.
But you could have stayed till the 30th.
I was not given that option by their oldest son, Jacob. I was told to leave the property immediately and that I had till the end of the month to get my possessions. Yes.
So then you are, in fact, asking for one half of your $750, which is $375. Now, my question to you is, why shouldn't he have his money back?
First, I'd like to say good afternoon, Judy.
Good
It's a
afternoon.
pleasure to be on your show. I never thought I'd be a plaintiff or defendant on your show, but it's a pleasure to be here. The reason Brandon do not deserve half his last month rent plus his deposit, because we, me and my wife, we did not evict Brandon. Brandon left on his own. I was down the Saturday before the 15th, and during that time we had a big wildfire in Santa Barbara area. It was all over the news, and I was doing some yard work, and Brandon came to me and told me, he said, Mr. Salt, I don't want to alarm you, but the fire is coming down the hill in Santa Barbara, going to be evacuated. And I said, Brandon, the fire's not coming down the hill. I said, don't get upset. But he said, well, I'm going to leave anyway. I'm going down to Oxnard. I'm going to stay with my grandmother. And I said, Brandon, do what you need to do, but the fire's not coming to Santa Barbara. So while I was there, Brandon was loading up his van. He had I think it was a Volkswagen van or some kind of van. He was loading some of his belongings up. And when I was still there, he left. And so I was under the impression that he was already gone to Oxnard. My wife gets home, and she tells me we live in a town called Lompoc, which is 50 miles from Santa Barbara. And she said, I got a call from Hazmees and said Brandon had came down to her room, threatened her with a knife. And I said, Brandon is in Oxnard. And she said, no, Brandon is in Santa Barbara. Hazmees just called me.
Well, I want you to tell me you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
Well, on the particular day when Brennan had loaded up his van...
I'm talking about with regard to the knife incident. You weren't there is my question.
I understand, okay.
Is that
not
right?
At that time.
But you were there. Stand up. How long have you been a tenant?
I moved in January of 2007.
So tell me what happened on this date in August with Mr. K.
I don't remember the particular date. There was nobody at the house, and I was doing homework, and he was in and out of the house, and he was going crazy, telling me that there was a fire and that I had to leave too, and he was going to Oregon or something. He was just scatterbrained, you know? So he packed his belongings, and I thought he left. And then it was nighttime, and then he came back. He kicked my door open, basically. He had a knife in his hand. He said, hey, I'm just here to tell you that you're not going to live to graduate Brooks. And he laughed and ran off.
His former landlords, Job and Renee Salter, unlawfully evicted him. The Salters claim that Brennan threatened another tenant with a knife.
Mr. K, you want to tell me your version of what happened, please?
Yes. As I was getting out of town, the information that I acted most heavily on was that our power transmission lines 2 hills back were at risk of burning.
Fine. You were perfectly wise to get out.
Okay. So Hazmeek asked me what I was doing. I pulled her out to my vehicle. She didn't understand a lot of the vocabulary I was speaking, and so I showed her.
Why didn't she understand the vocabulary?
I don't know. Martial law. I could look it up. She could look it up. I just said, you know, fires, looting, and martial law. That's what I'm preparing for, and I'm leaving.
There was no vocabulary I didn't understand. I was just not understanding why he had, like, his plants and, like, his bike in his car.
Because he was
I
evacuating
really
for the
didn't care. I really didn't care for it. I don't know why he made me go to his car to show me his belongings and then tell me he was moving. There was nothing I didn't understand about why he was moving.
Go ahead.
So upon leaving, I said, you know, Hazmeek, you're not like a large girl. Be smart, stay safe. Keep a weapon nearby. If things get intense, a bike lock, pepper spray, a pocket knife. Twice this distance away from her, she said, a weapon, a weapon, a weapon, a weapon. I finally shrugged my shoulders, rolled my eyes, demonstrated a weapon, and put the pocket knife back in my pocket.
Okay. And you left.
Yeah.
What is this business? You're never going to see graduation.
I don't, yeah, it's kind of unbased.
That's exactly what came out of his mouth. He came into my room, he kicked my door open, and he had a knife in his hand. And that's exactly what he told me.
All right. Sit down.
Did I finish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, as my wife had told me that she had talked to Hazmees. I called Brandon, and I said, Brandon, what's happening with you and Hazmees? He said, oh, don't worry about it. There's no word against mine. Let her take me to court. And I said, what do you mean? I said, this is the second time, Brandon, that you and Hazmees had this type of run-in. And then I said, we had sat down and we had talked everything out. I thought you was going to be cordial with her. And he said, well, okay, I'll deal with her when I get back. So I'm under the impression that he's in Oxnard. So I guess maybe 4 or 5 days later, I called him. He called me back. He leave a message on our answering service, and this is the message that he.
Dylan Hernandez, this is Brennan. Calling to inform you that as of Wednesday, I'm really not welcome on your
I can't hear it, Bert.
I was given until the end of the month to grab my stuff and told that I was no longer welcome there.
Okay, I can tell you basically what it says.
No, let's start again.
Calling to inform you that as of Wednesday, I'm really not welcome on your property. I was given until the end of the month to grab my stuff and told that I was no longer welcome there. And then I was actually grabbed. Take my word for it. I meant Monique, no harm. Oh, not Monique, but Hazmeek. Feel free to give me a call when you can. Thank you very much. Hope you're here.
Okay. Who threatened you?
When I got back on the 15th, it was their oldest son, Jacob, who had invited me to come out to the backyard for a meeting. There were about 6 to 8 of his friends. My first words were, I don't feel safe or comfortable here. I'm leaving. Then I was blocked out while trying to leave the garage. I had everything from glass bottles to cans of spray paint raised at me within striking distance. My perceived threat was actually met with a real threat. And once that situation kind of nulled out, then I left the property on the 15th being told I had to leave. And
Gotcha.
yeah.
What's your oldest son's name?
Jacob.
Where is he?
He's not with us. My son Martin was here. He was the one.
Where's Jacob?
I don't know if Jacob was even involved. Martin was the one that confronted Brandon, and it was Martin.
Oh, so you say that the youngest son confronted him.
That's what I was told, Your Honor.
Your first name is?
Martin.
All right, Martin, your father says you're the one that confronted Mr. K on the 15th. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it was me and my older, he was there, but
And your older brother.
I was the one who...
Just a second. Just answer my questions. It was you and your older brother. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And how old is your older brother?
21.
How many people were there on the day that Mr. K was confronted?
Including myself and my brother and two mutual friends of me and Hasmeek's, there was 4 people.
And how many of Mr. K's people were there?
He was just himself. He was just...
And what did you say to him?
We did was we asked him why he had come into Hasmeek's room and brandished a knife at her and told her these things, and he denied it even occurring.
And so what did you say to him?
We said, well, that's not what Hasmeek said.
And?
The situation kind of deteriorated because all he was doing denying, so he just left.
Just a minute. What do you mean it deteriorated? I don't understand what you mean it deteriorated.
We were just asking him why he did this, and he was just completely denying it, so it was just going nowhere.
Well, what did you do when he denied it?
Well, we said that's not what Hasmeek said, and he said, well, I didn't do that.
And?
That was the whole situation.
Yeah, right. Sit down. You have to give Mr. K back his money. $750 for the last month's rent, $375 for half of August because he was really threatened by your 2 sons and 2 friends. And the only way that you don't have to give him back his security deposit is if you have pictures of the damage that you allege that he did, that you had to fix. Do you have photographs?
No, but can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
When Brandon left the room, he didn't take all his belongings at the house until September 1st. September 1st, when he came over, I was in there cleaning his room up. He took his stuff out of his room sometime during, I think, that Friday before that Saturday was on the 1st, put it in the garage. He came back that Saturday. He was outside taking the stuff out the garage. And I seen this man out there, so I thought he was going to come in the house and give us the keys and explain to us, you know, what, because he haven't had any contact with us, verbal contact with us. He wrote us a letter beside this phone call telling us why he left.
Well, let me see. I'd like to see the letter.
I called Brandon back, and I figured when I called him after he had this Brandon has me, that he would call me and explain to me what happened. He didn't call and say anything to me. The only thing that he called and told me was that he was leaving. He said, you can contact me, which we did. We wrote him a letter. We called him. He didn't call anything back. Even when he was there, he didn't come to us and say, well, the reason I left was a reason I didn't answer your phone call.
Mr. Salter, the reason he left is because he was threatened by your 2 sons.
Well, what about him threatening me?
I don't think he threatened Esme. I don't think he threatened her at all. And I'm telling you that the statement that she made, that he came into the room and said to her, you're not going to live to graduate, could just as easily been interpreted as, unless you get out of here, like I told you, because the fire's coming down here, you're not going to live to graduate. Could just as easily have been interpreted in a benign way as in the way that you suggest that he brandished a knife in her face and threatened her with the knife. I want to tell you something. That doesn't make sense, and I don't believe that it happened. And you listen to me. Okay. And you weren't there.
Right.
And your wife wasn't there.
Right.
And your kid wasn't there.
Right.
And I heard you were ready. So you did not have the right, either yourself or through your sons, even if you didn't ask, put your hand down, to threaten him so that he moved off the property.
Right.
You therefore have to return to him. I'm not even getting started with an illegal eviction, because for that you had to give him 30 days notice. He was paying rent, and if you wanted him out, you have to say, I'm giving you 30 days to get out.
We gave him 30 days.
No. He didn't. And your oldest son didn't. And I got, sir, Mr. Salter.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, you weren't there.
No, but listen to what I'm saying, Your Honor. We gave him a 30-day notice before this happened.
If you gave him a 30-day notice before it happened, right, when was he supposed to be out?
He's supposed to be out the 15th of September, from the 15th.
Fine. So you gave him a 30-day notice, but your sons threatened him on the 15th of August and made his staying in his room not an option. That's what he did. That's what your oldest son did. And they can't do that. Put your hand down, sir. I don't believe you. And she's a little off. You are the landlords. There are certain rules when you choose to be a landlord. And when you choose to be a landlord, if something's not going right, you can't, either yourself or your adult children, take matters into their own hands. You owe him half a month's rent for August.
He
was
leave.
there all of us. He didn't leave. He didn't move out until September 1st.
No, sir. He physically left on August 15th. You say he left his stuff?
He had his belongings in the room, and he had the key to the room.
I don't care.
I left my keys
Just
in
a
the closet.
second. I don't care whether he had his stuff in the room, because as far as I'm concerned, he could sue you in many jurisdictions for 3 times the damages because of an unlawful eviction. You evicted him unlawfully a month.
My question is, Your Honor.
Listen, I'm telling you.
Okay, I understand that, but my question is, on what grounds that I'm liable because he didn't contact me? I'm not the one that...
You're supposed to be in control of your children.
I called him.
You're supposed to be in
also,
control of your children. Mr. Salter,
yes, ma'am.
Your children did the wrong thing.
And
if you're an absentee landlord and you...
I'm not saying
Mr.
they were right
Salter.
about confronting him. I'm saying that when he had a problem, like he had threatened having me one time before, we went down, we had talked to him about some other things he had done. He was trying to go in the bathroom one day.
I read the
he wouldn't let her
report.
go in there.
I read the report.
So we talked to him about that. When he confronted her the second time, that's why I called him.
Listen to me, sir. You can argue with me from today till tomorrow.
Well, I'm not arguing.
I'm telling you, you owe him everything that I said that you owe him. $375 because he was told to leave in one day and he left in one day, and he was told by him and his older brother, who were your children. You owe him the security deposit because I haven't seen anything that suggests to me that you had to do anything to his room.
Oh, you had to clean his room. I had to fix his room.
Of course you had to clean his room. That's what you have to do. You have to clean his room. You have a bill from
somebody.
somebody.
Clean the room. We had to fix the curtain rod that was broken.
Well, why didn't you take a picture?
Your Honor, this happened.
Why didn't you take a
This
picture?
happened in August of 2007. He didn't even notify anything until October.
Well, you're a landlord, sir. If you're going to claim that somebody lost their security deposit because of damage that they did to the room, you take a picture and you say, this is what the room looked like on August 15th.
We didn't have any idea that
Fine, you owe him
this.
$1,425. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was able to see through some lies and deceit and stories that had been layer caked on and got down to the core of the issue.
Brandon was really out of control more than one occasion.
There were actually a few events where my security was at risk.
We weren't threatening him. He threatened me.
Ever since he moved in, he tried to come into my room when he wasn't invited.
We couldn't have him threatening people.
I was gonna take a shower and he would stand in front of the door and not leave.
She's looking for excitement in an otherwise boring life.
I think he was under the influence of drugs when he came into my room with a knife, because I'd never seen him like that before.
I will definitely stand up for me.
He had weird accessories on him that a normal, sane being would not wear.
There was no us brandishing any sort of weapon at him at all.
Not getting involved in power structure. It was already in place.
There were no bottles or cans thrown at him.
Families upstairs, tenants are downstairs. Stay away.
People may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Miss Gibson, you and Mr. Longoria lived together for a period of time. You have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
Your claim involves 2 separate causes of action.
Yes.
First one states that you were in an automobile accident.
Yes.
The insurance company gave you $750 to repair your car.
Yes.
Your car was still drivable.
Yeah, it was just the side panel was wrecked.
You and Mr. Longoria were together at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that you loaned Mr. Longoria that $750.
Yes.
So that he could do something with it. And he was supposed to pay you back that money to use to fix the car.
Yes.
With regard to that claim, Mr. Longoria said, well, that's not true. He wasn't going to have the car fixed. We took the $750 and we paid household bills because you weren't working at the time. Is that right?
Correct.
He was working at the time, and you were all backed up bills. Second claim is that you had an argument sometime after this,
Yes.
and you left the house. There was also no heat in the house, and you were sick, so you went to stay with a friend. You broke up over the telephone. You subsequently came back to get your furniture and belongings. They were all gone. Mr. Longoria says that the house, unfortunately, was broken into and all your things were stolen.
Correct. Correct.
That may be a hard sell for me, Mr. Longoria, but I'm not sure. Also, that he borrowed your car while you were away, and a deer hit your car, so you want him to pay for all the damage that was done to your car from your accident, from the deer, and whatever. A deer ran into your car, or you ran into the deer?
The deer ran into me. I didn't
The
swerve
deer
to hit
ran
him.
into you?
Yeah, he just came out of the bushes. Like the bushes were right there, and he slammed into the car.
The side of the car?
Yeah, well, the front, yes.
No, just a second. There are 2 separate words we're talking about here, Mr. Longoria. front or side?
Front
Those
side.
are different.
The front side, the part of the front and part of the side.
Where you hit it. Deers don't usually run into cars. Cars run into deers when deers come out from bushes or trees. Cars run into them. I know I live in a heavily deer-populated area.
Actually, it was 2 deers.
2?
I think it was the same deer.
And that just bounced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I try to stay in the city.
Yeah, she picked them. All right. What year car do you have?
99 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Now, you got a $750 check from the insurance company on what date?
The 4th of September.
2007?
Yes.
Were you working?
Yes.
Who were you working for?
Cracker Barrel.
What were you doing there?
Waitress.
2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week?
At that time, it was just the weekends because I didn't have anybody else to watch my daughter.
You lived in an apartment?
A duplex.
With him?
Yes.
And your child?
Yes.
And you had a car?
Yes.
And he had a car?
No.
You had rent?
Yes.
Gas? Electric? You had cell phones?
No.
Had a regular phone?
Sometimes.
Because of the bills, right?
Yes.
So it would be fair to say when you got the $750, it went to pay some bills.
It was supposed to go to fix my car.
Okay.
And he said he would.
Tell me about it.
When I got the $750, he told me that he needed the money, and if I loaned him the money, he would give it back to me or get my car fixed and get extra things fixed for cheaper than what the people who estimated would do.
What did you do with the money?
I spent it on her. She always looked pretty. She always smelled pretty. She always
Mr.
lived
Longoria,
pretty.
look at me.
I'm sorry.
What did you spend the $750 on?
On me and Mrs. Gibson.
What kind of work were you doing at the time?
A welding fabricator.
And were you working at that in 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
When you said that there was no heat in the house, is that because you didn't have money to pay for the heating bill?
Actually, it was just, we have a tank, so we did have the money, but they don't just come right out there. We have to wait a couple of days. So I went ahead and paid, and I didn't have the extra money for the rush delivery.
What?
He got money from his job, about $1,000 actually. They loaned him the money to pay for what he needed to pay for. That wasn't the same time. He's just lying there.
What were you paying for?
Me and my daughter, what we needed.
No, what? No. Listen to me. What were you paying for?
Diapers, wipes, shampoo, anything you need for a house. I took care of our house. That's what I did, and I worked on the weekends while I could because I had no babysitter. Nobody wanted to watch my daughter for me. The whole time I was pregnant,
$750 came in handy.
it was supposed to be for my car.
Yeah, it was supposed to be for your car, but a lot of people do that. They get money from the insurance company. They say, listen, I can live with this car for a while, but right now I need heat, or right now I need electric, or right now I need my phone bill paid, so I'll take care of those bills, and then when I can, we'll get my car fixed. But the car clearly was drivable because shortly thereafter, he was driving the car, and you were driving the car.
Yes.
Okay. How much after this did you leave because you were sick?
Probably a couple months.
When did you leave your furniture?
When I was sick. I left.
Give me the date.
December 13th.
December
What
5th.
date?
December 13th.
How long were you gone?
A week. I planned on coming back, but things happened and I didn't.
Now, while you were living together, Mr. Longoria was working for the most part, and you were staying home with the baby.
Yes.
And in order to get to work, what vehicle did he use?
I drove him to work.
In your vehicle?
In my vehicle, yes.
And when you left, what did you do with your vehicle?
I left it there.
For?
My mom came and got me because I was sick. I didn't
You
leave it there
left
for
it
any
there
reason.
because he needed it to go to work.
No, he doesn't have a license. My insurance doesn't cover unlicensed drivers.
Mr. Longoria, did you have a driver's license?
No, Your Honor.
Then what were you doing driving her car?
I had to get to work.
Why don't you have a driver's license?
I lost it over stupid stuff, and I don't have the $1,500 to get it.
He hasn't had it since he's been with me, so it's not anything to do with me.
Miss Gibson, how long had he been with you?
It was almost 3 years.
In the years that he lived with you, Miss Gibson, did Mr. Longoria ever file tax returns? Tax returns. April
what those
15th. Comes around every year. Did he ever file tax returns?
This is the first year that, when he worked at that welder, that's the first year he had been working since we had been together, so.
Well, Mr. Longoria, when was the last time you filed tax returns?
Well, I filed them last year and this year.
You want to ask him what he did with the money he claimed my daughter for, and basically just didn't let me or her have any of it?
Well, he paid. What do you mean?
I paid for her too, and
you
she
didn't.
deserves that. Yes, I did.
No, Miss Gibson, there's no question that you're working as a waitress on the weekends when you paid for her wipes and you paid for her diapers isn't supporting your child. Mr. Longoria, I guarantee you paid more than 50% of the child's support, so you're entitled to nothing unless you pay more than 50% of the child's support.
Is she?
What?
Is she entitled to anything? Or
Is
does
she?
Yeah.
What, are you crazy? Don't you understand what claiming a child as a deduction is? It means that if you pay more than 50% of a child's support, you are entitled to take that child as a deduction. The child doesn't get any money. The child is supported. Do you understand?
Judge Judy, the father of her daughter, Daniel Longoria, refuses to return her furniture. Daniel claims that someone stole the furniture from his home.
Now, you took her car. You had no license. That means you have to pay for the damage on her car caused by the deer. But for the fact, Mr. Longoria, that you took the car when you shouldn't have been on the road, the car would have been unscathed in the front and sort of the side. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an estimate for fixing that part of the car? I'm not interested at all with regard to the other damage to the car. That's $750 the two of you used for household bills.
They estimated my whole car with that, so you can take $750 off of it.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the car?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I didn't have one.
Well, why didn't you take one?
The whole hood of it is ruined. The whole side of it's ruined from, you can say it's sort of the front, sort of the side. It's the whole front, the whole side.
Okay. Talk to me about the furniture, Miss Gibson. What furniture did you leave in the house?
All of my, everything.
What?
I left a 7-piece living room set.
What happened to the furniture, Mr. Longoria?
To tell you the truth, when she left, I left too. I didn't want to stay in the house. You know, that was our home. I always considered it our home.
When did you leave?
I stood there for maybe 3 or 4 days. I could take it for about maybe 3 or 4 days.
Could you keep your voice up, sir? You hear how I'm talking? You can...
About 3 or 4 days is what I stood there, about 3 or 4 days, and then I couldn't take it anymore. So I went and got a hotel and just basically stood at a hotel. I couldn't walk past my daughter's room without just flipping out. I didn't want to see the empty room.
Right. And?
So I left for about probably close to 3 weeks. I was in and out getting clothes and stuff like that, but basically I took off 3 weeks worth of work and just, I don't know, just kind of messed up.
Just sort of messed up. I'd like to see the police report where you report that the house was burglarized. What date did you leave? December 13th?
That's what he says. I'm not
and
sure.
What date did you come back for your stuff?
A week later. He wouldn't give me anything. He told me to leave.
What had you purchased?
The 7-piece living room set.
Let me see the bill.
I don't have it. They wouldn't give it to me because it was in his name. I called, tried to get it faxed to me. They said he would have to pick it up.
How did you pay for it?
Cash. When I got, I got another settlement from a car accident that I was in over spring break of '05, I believe, and I got a $6,700 check right here. Do you want to
just show me where the bill was for the furniture?
They wouldn't give it to me because it was in his name.
You have any of the bills for these things?
I have the date. It's actually on the police report. It says some of the furniture.
First of all, this police report says that this happened the 2nd or 3rd week in January.
I don't know exactly when it happened, but that's when I went back to the house. I hadn't been there for, like I said, a couple weeks, so I don't know exactly when it happened.
Well, Miss Gibson, you should have secured your furniture. I don't know where your furniture is.
He wouldn't let me have it. I mean, I couldn't do anything about it. It was in his name.
There's no proof that it's yours. Who are you?
I am her best friend.
And?
I was a witness to, she did call him and say, where's my furniture? I want it back. He was saying, no, you can't have it. You know, he tried to keep it so she'd come back because he wanted her back. She didn't want him back.
Good. Sit down. Thank you very much. What I need proof that it's your furniture. A check from December of 2005 for $6,000 when you've had no income after that through 2008 other than weekend jobs as a waitress.
The crash was in '05. The check was written for $330 of '07.
So you should have some sort of receipt for all this furniture.
He can tell you it's mine, and I paid for it.
Who paid for the furniture, Mr. Longoria? Look at me. Who paid for the furniture?
We both did.
No. This was the agreement. If I bought the living room set, since I got this check and I had the money to do it, he would buy a bedroom set for us. Still no bedroom set.
What was the rent on the apartment that you were living in?
$600.
And how long did you live there?
I'm not sure.
10 months, since March 24th, 2007.
So that's a little over $6,000. Prior to that, where did you live?
At a
With
friend's
my
house.
best friend.
And did you pay rent?
No.
So you had rent of $6,000.
Yeah.
And then did you have utilities?
Of course.
That got turned off all the time.
Yeah, but they had to be paid to get turned back on, Miss Gibson.
They're not on now. They haven't been on for
I'm talking about for the
months.
10 months you lived there.
No, they weren't on every month that we lived there. They
No,
weren't.
listen to me. You know, you two want to play house. What do you want me to try to clean up your mess for? I can't clean up your mess. Okay, the only thing that legally you are responsible to pay for is the second accident that happened with the car when you hit a deer when you were driving without a license. Because if you had had a license, and if she had insurance, her insurance would have covered the cost of the accident. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what insurance covers. But you did not have a license, therefore you had no right to get behind the wheel of a car because her insurance company was not going to pay for it because you had no what?
No license.
Correct. I've looked over your estimate, madam. I'm awarding you $2,000 to fix your car. If you want to fix your car, terrific. If you don't want to fix your car, that's also terrific. As far as the furniture is concerned, I cannot help you. Furniture is in his name. Both of you paid for it because he was paying for rent. You paid for other things. He made a police report. I somehow doubt that the furniture was stolen. I don't believe you that the furniture was stolen.
I picked the furniture. I would have never let that furniture go for nothing. I never wanted to
I have
let it
no
go.
idea what you did, sir. You went on a drinking binge for 2 weeks. You weren't even home. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm happy I'm getting my car fixed, but that was my furniture, and he has no right to keep the money that was mine.
I'm flabbergasted.
Very, very frustrating.
He's been trying to get back with her for a while, and she hasn't been back with him, and I think that's the problem.
We just argue every day about nothing.
She's colder than...
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ortiz versus Chapman, step forward.
Elizabeth Ortiz is suing her ex-boyfriend, Reggie Chapman, for car payments on a Mercedes-Benz, car insurance bills, and unpaid credit card charges.
Miss Ortiz, you and Mr. Chapman were a couple for a while. I think you lived together for a period of time. At least I believe that's what happened, according to the complaint. It is your claim that Mr. Chapman, after the bloom was off the rose and the romance is over, owes you for car payments as well as credit card payments.
Yes.
The car payments were for a car that is titled in your name, insured in your name, but was purchased allegedly for him. He was supposed to make the car payments. He didn't make the car payments. You took the car back. You took the car back some 2 months after the car was purchased.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the car.
Yes.
Are you driving the car?
No.
What did you do with the car?
I have my boss who is making payments on it.
So you have somebody else took over the payments?
Yes.
Great. Which 2 months did he not pay for the car?
He didn't pay initially for the first payment, which was due October 5th, November 5th, and December 5th.
And was it agreed that he was supposed to make those payments?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Not exactly. Actually, the reason for us even getting the car was because we traded in a car that she had prior to our relationship that wasn't working. So that was the reason for us even purchasing the Mercedes to begin with.
Who drove the Mercedes those months?
We both did.
Did she have another car?
Yes, she had always had 2 cars.
Did you have another car?
Yes, I had another car that I ended up selling.
Did you sell it before or after you got the Mercedes?
I believe I sold it before.
Then if you sold it before, you only had one car. You drove the Mercedes.
Yes.
So let's not play with each other. Mr. Chapman, did you pay any money towards that car for those 3 months?
No.
Very good. What were the car payments?
$630.32 a month, plus the insurance.
What was the insurance?
$53.16, which is a total of $159.48 for those 3 months.
So far, you owe $2,000.49, sir, for the privilege of driving this very fancy Mercedes for 3 months. Do you understand?
Okay.
Perfect. Tell me about the credit card.
I had a credit card that had a 0 balance on it. It was a Capital One account. And he had asked me if I had any credit cards that he could be added as an authorized user. We were in a relationship. I said yes. He said, can I be added to the one with the 0 balance? So I said yes. He gave me a social. I called Capital One. He was added as an authorized user.
When?
At the end of August in 2007.
And?
I got the card in the mail. He said he would make every payment towards whatever he purchased on that credit card. His first transaction was August 10th, 2007. He paid one time $200 to me, which I wrote a check to Capital One, and he never paid anything else on that credit card.
Did you cancel the credit card in September?
Yes, I did cancel the credit card.
When?
The end of September.
Oh, so he didn't have it very long. Very smart. Good girl.
No, but it was maxed out.
Good girl. How much?
$1,807.55.
Regarding the credit card, she actually offered the credit card to me.
Offered it, you accepted it, fine.
Okay, accepted.
Keep going.
But the agreement was that all our bills, which would include the credit card, would be shared. That was our agreement before the credit card. That was the agreement during the credit card.
Were you living together in September?
Yes, we were.
Okay, I'd like to see what items were put on the credit card.
Sure.
So is what you're saying to me, Mr. Chapman, that since you were living together, you were using this card and all of the household stuff was to be paid for?
Household gas, anything that we did extracurricularly, we couldn't have money, cash, credit card.
What is Union Ventura?
I would wash our cars on the weekend. I'd get gas and wash the cars. That's probably what that is.
Ralph's.
Groceries.
He never brought in groceries to my house.
Well, that's what it is, Ralph's.
Right.
KFC in Oxnard.
Where we would go eat.
He was eating, I wasn't.
Nail art. Who gets their nails done?
She does.
Actually,
Nail art.
I write checks. That is where I go and get my nails done, but I write my girl a check every time I go. I don't use my credit card. He got a pedicure with his daughter.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever go there?
To nail art?
Yes.
No.
That doesn't sound very convincing to me. You never went there?
Never went there. I mean, I've been there when she was there, but I never went there on my own or with my daughter.
Okay. Nickleby's nightclub.
We went out together, and we first got the credit card. She was drunk. She grabbed the credit card from me and started charging alcohol on the credit card.
Washington Mutual, $200. What is that for?
A cash advance he took out.
Is that right, sir?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Mr. Chapman, there are a lot of restaurant things here, but they're all for small amounts of money, which suggests to me that they were just for one person. I mean, for instance, you have BJ's Restaurant in Oxnard for $11.74. That's just for you. You have a Wendy's for $4.79.
Can I say something?
Yes.
He claims that that credit card was to be shared for our household things, when if you look at my checking account, which I have 2 checking accounts.
This wasn't for household things.
No, it wasn't.
This wasn't for household things. Absolutely not. What is the balance on this credit card?
The balance is $1,807.55.
That's without any new charges after September.
Right. I have just been paying the minimum towards the payment every month.
Fine. Anything you want to tell me, Mr. Chapman?
Nothing except for the fact that although some of those statements, those bills, and those small meals here and there were small, we were on a budget. We did live together, and of course, sometimes we wouldn't go have full-on dinners. Sometimes we do just drinks or something like that.
You weren't doing drinks at Wendy's. Wendy's doesn't serve drinks.
I didn't suggest I didn't use it at all.
I'm saying that most of the items here, sir, most of them are for one person, and I believe her. How many other credit cards do you have?
I have 2 other ones.
What about you?
One other one.
When did you get it?
I just got it a couple months ago.
So you had no credit cards?
No.
So this is the one you used?
Well, at that time, yes, of course I used it.
Yes, of course. Okay. You owe her $3,856. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused when they step out.
I think her judge was fair and correct.
If that was her decision, I didn't respect it, I guess.
He wasn't paying me my money and what he owed me and what he had charged.
Basically, over finances. I mean, it came down to it, and she was looking for something that just wasn't there.
He used the car for 3 months, so I had to go to this extreme.
It's established on what I could offer her, what she thought she might be able to offer me as far as finances are concerned, not just enjoying each other's time.
It was just that time. It wasn't working.
There's nothing for me to take advantage of. I mean, I wasn't in it for anything she had. I didn't know anything about her when I met her.
You think someone is who they are, and they're really not.
Be more cautious as to who you deal with, especially don't jump into anything for relationships.
Google whoever you deal with.
All parties in the matter of Lizaldi versus Mashburn. Step forward.
19-year-old Cindy Lizaldi is suing fellow motorist Dylan Mashburn for the cost to fix her car after he ran into her.
Miss Lizaldi, what do you do for a living?
I'm a service cashier in a dealership in Long Beach.
What kind of dealership?
It's Cadillac dealership.
How long have you been working there?
I have been working there for about 7 months now.
You sound unsure of yourself.
I'm kind of nervous, sorry.
Okay. So you work in a Cadillac dealership, and you've been there 7 months.
Yeah, approximately.
Who do you live with?
I live with my boyfriend.
What's his name?
Mario Martinez.
How long have you been with him?
It's going to be 2 years next month.
And you've been living together for 2 years? What does he do for a living?
He is an insulator. He works for construction.
Just the 2 of you live together?
Yeah.
You have an apartment with a lease?
No, just renting an apartment.
I know. Is there a lease on the apartment?
No.
What are you, month to month?
Yeah.
What kind of an apartment is it?
Um,
don't look over there.
Just a regular apartment, I guess.
How big is it?
It's a 2-bedroom.
And were you living there when you had the accident with Mr. Mashburn?
Yes, I was.
And were you living with Mario?
I'm sorry?
Were you living with your boyfriend?
Yes, I was.
His name is Mario, right?
Mario, yeah.
So you were living together?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mashburn was driving behind you, and there was an accident, and he hit you in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
You want him to pay for the damage to your car.
Yes, I do.
This happened in November 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mashburn says that you really didn't want your bumper fixed, you wanted a date. That's his defense. With him. Which is really why I asked you all of these questions. Just in the event you were unsure of why I was asking you all of these questions, before I got to Mr. Mashburn's defense, I wanted to find out a little bit about you.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mashburn, tell me about the accident. Are your hands in your pockets?
Yes.
Take them out.
Okay.
Tell me about the accident, sir.
Okay. It was November 21st, 2007. I was behind Cindy at a red light. We had pulled away from a red light. Pretty much instantly, she had stepped on her brakes. We were maybe going 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden she steps on her brakes. I hit her. I'm as stunned as and I got hit in the back, and then I'm into her, and I'm thinking, how did this all happen all of a sudden? And I'm looking in front of her, and there was a bus that had, I guess, pulled out on the other side of the intersection, which I didn't know if that was the cause of the accident. At the time of the accident, Cindy got out of her car in the middle of a busy intersection. Personally, I thought it was a smaller fender bender. You know, she seemed okay. I said, well, why don't we go down the road a little bit? There's some construction down the road, and we'll exchange information and go from there. In fact, there was even a policeman in the intersection who felt the accident was... Sorry.
Don't tell me what the policeman felt,
Okay,
sir.
sorry.
I'm not interested in even what you feel.
You're right, I didn't know what he felt. So we went down the road, got out of her car, kind of looked over the damage a little bit. It didn't seem to me more than a...
I want your defense. Now, Mr. Mashburn, we've already established that when you hit somebody in the rear, it's your fault.
Right.
So you hit her in the rear. She's going to show me pictures of the car or an estimate to have it fixed, which I assume she has.
Right.
You're going to tell me why it's not your responsibility to fix it.
Sorry, Your Honor. At the
That's
time...
okay. Don't be sorry. Just get direct.
Okay. At the time that we were exchanging information, you know, I had asked her, should we go ahead and go through the insurance companies? We looked over the damage. We both felt that it didn't seem... Excuse me, I felt, and that was my impression, that she felt the damage wasn't too significant. We didn't have a witness. The guy that hit me kept going. The bus, you know, probably didn't know what was going on as far as our situation, so we didn't have that to go off of. We did not call the police. At the time, she seemed to be kind of flirty and almost without care when we were going over this. So I said, well, what would you like to do? You know, would you like to just go ahead and call the insurance companies? Would you like to just handle this out of court, get an estimate, a few $100s? You know, maybe I can deal with that. You know, what would you like to do? And she said, well, go ahead, just give me a call next week. Don't worry about it.
Did you have insurance on your car?
Yes, I do.
You have a driver's license?
I take that back, Your Honor. I currently do not. At the time of the accident, I did.
Did you have a driver's license?
Yes.
At the time of the accident?
Yes.
And you drive now?
Yes.
And you have no insurance?
To court, yeah.
That's a very, very bad thing, sir.
I know. Okay. I'm unemployed.
Why are you unemployed?
Lost my job a few months back, and it's just been hard to get back on my feet right now.
Who do you live with?
Right now, I'm staying in a motel.
What kind of job did you have?
It was accounting, customer service.
How old are you?
31.
You have children?
No.
So it's just you?
Yes.
Ever had problems with the authorities?
No. With the exception of unpaid parking tickets, no real trouble with the authorities, no.
Mr. Mashburn, I don't want to throw you through the ringer, sir. There's something that is almost sympathetic about you. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but something. Not attractive, but sympathetic. You feel as if you're responsible to pay for the damage to her car?
I don't, in the sense that at the time of the accident, you know, should we go through our insurance companies, should we not?
That was your choice.
You're right.
If you didn't want to pay, listen, you hit her in the rear. She doesn't have to go through the insurance company. They're not going to pay her. Your insurance company is going to pay her. That's what you had liability for. So it's not up to her. You hit her in the rear, you're at fault. Period. End of discussion. She was able to stop for the bus that may have been to the intersection. You were driving too close. You weren't able to stop. Somebody hit you in the rear, took off. All of this is a very, say, a tail. Bottom line, it's your fault. It was your insurance. If you wanted to go through your insurance, you could have. Could have said, I don't want to pay for this out of my pocket. That's what I have insurance for. It's a moving violation. It's not her. It's you. You chose not to do that, so then you got to pay her. It's as simple as that. That makes sense?
Yeah, the logic behind all that makes sense.
Well, that's why they keep me here, sir. They don't keep me here because I'm young and gorgeous. I see the car, please. Thank you. Oh, so you need a new bumper. Is that right?
Yeah, I do.
How much is a new bumper?
There was an estimate for $1,400 just for the visual damages.
Can I see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me?
Not necessarily.
Okay. This accident happened in November of '07. The picture was taken February of 2008. Why?
I didn't have a camera at that time.
That's not a reason. Everybody has a camera. They have a cell phone with a camera. Half of the free world has a cell phone with a camera.
Well,
Why didn't you take the picture until February of '08?
Well, I didn't need a reason to take pictures of. I didn't plan to take him on court because I thought he would, you know, commit to what he had promised me.
Which was to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she was fair. She was fair with what she said.
I was a little disappointed, you know, with the nature of everything that went down, but, you know, I guess when you hit someone in the back, there's nothing you can do about it.
He was getting a little out of proportion, I think.
She seemed noticeably flirty with me. You know, I thought that maybe she just wanted a couple $100 and maybe a date or something like that.
By him saying that I was being, that's just bizarre.
I pretty much left it alone once I found out that she said she had a husband or a boyfriend. I didn't communicate it with her after that.
He seemed like an honest guy at first.
Text messages and calling me a little bit, and I, you know, pretty much took that as maybe she was flirting and she only wanted maybe a couple $100 or a date or something like that. So followed that accordingly.
He made a few phone calls, you know, to make sure I was fine. You know, he seemed like a trustworthy person, but really he wasn't.
Like I said, as soon as I found out she had a boyfriend or a husband or whatever she had mentioned to me in a text message, I had stopped communications.
I was in shock. You know, I'm 19. It's my first accident. Never gone through this before.
All of a sudden, I found myself here.
Personally, he's not my type.
Sir, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Ricker, this lady is your husband's, I assume this is your husband?
Yes.
Your husband's former wife.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she has been harassing you, that
Yes.
she's filed false charges against you,
Absolutely.
seeking a temporary restraining order, and you are seeking damages.
Absolutely.
The former Mrs. Ricker says that everything that she said in her application for a restraining order is true. She is counterclaiming for harassment and for vandalism that she alleges you did to her car. So, how long were you married to Mr. Ricker?
12 years.
You have children?
We have 3 children.
How old are they?
14, 12, and 7.
When were you divorced?
Our paperwork went through in 2005, but I left in 2000.
When did you marry?
2 years ago, March 29th.
Do you have children?
No, we do not.
On what date was this restraining order filed?
I believe it was the 20th
of
March. The alleged incident was on the 17th, which would have been St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, I'm going to start with you. Tell me your first name.
Sally.
So that we can differentiate between the Mrs. Rickers. You're Sally. Tell me what happened on March 17th.
On March 17th, I was at an establishment near where I work. My car was parked.
What
in the parking lot.
establishment were you near where you worked?
I was at a nail salon called Tammy's Salon.
Okay.
And I'm looking out the window. I happen to look out, and I see both Tyler and Angela drive up, and I'm
What
shocked.
time?
It was about 2:30. I saw Tyler get out of the car, and then I saw Angela get out of the passenger side door, and together they hurriedly sort of walked into my place of employment.
What is the name of your place of employment?
I work at Trader Joe's. I happened to be off this day.
So you were off on March 17th?
I was.
How far is your place of employment from where you live?
4 miles across town.
Did you have an appointment for your nails?
No.
What was the name of the person who did your nails?
You know, I'm sorry, I don't know. She's an Asian woman, and I don't know her name.
Does she usually do your nails?
No, I walk in.
So you don't go to any particular person?
Not at that place, no.
Is there any reason why you went to that place on that day, despite the fact that you weren't working that day?
I had some time to myself as I'm sole parenting my 3 children. I don't get a lot of time away.
Yeah, but this place is cross town. Why would you go cross town unless you have a particular nail lady who does your nails and had an appointment rather than walking into some place that's closer and not cross town?
Well, it's inexpensive. I had a few hours to go do my nails and get some groceries and go home.
Where were you getting your groceries?
At Trader Joe's.
Did you actually go into Trader Joe's?
No, I decided not to go in.
Go ahead, Sally.
So?
Go ahead. I'm listening. So they went into Trader Joe's, and you were having your nails done by a person whose name you don't know, and you just happened to be looking out the window. Let me hear the rest.
Yes. So they continued to walk in, and they asked for me while they were in the store. And
How do you know that?
Because I had a conversation with my son. I called my son after I saw them.
Just a second. You called your son where?
I called my son from my cell phone.
And where was he?
He was at his grandmother's house. And I asked them if he had heard from his dad that day, because we haven't heard or seen from Tyler in 9 months. And so I called my son to see if he had heard from his dad this day, to find out why he would be in town. And he said, yes, he was there with Angela, and they were looking for you at the store.
What's your son's name?
My son's name is Aaron.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Stand up, sir. Did you call your son that day, Mr. Richter?
I did.
Where did you reach him?
I
on his
reached
cell
him
phone?
Yes, on his cell phone. He was at my parents' house.
At your parents' house?
Yes.
And did you ask him where his mother was?
I asked if his mother was at work.
Why?
Because I had part of his birthday present to give to him.
Which part?
A credit card that had come in the mail after his birthday.
Did you see him that day?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because he was at my parents' house.
Are you not allowed to be there?
It's not a comfortable place for me to be, but I'm allowed to be there.
Well, if you wanted to give him a credit card, why did you ask where his mother was?
I was going to give it to her if she was there.
So did you end up giving him his birthday present?
I did not.
Why not?
I was told she was not there.
Did you go into Trader Vic's?
Trader Joe's?
Trader
yes.
Joe's?
Yes, I did go into Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, Trader. What?
Had a cup of coffee, and my wife and I did a little bit of shopping.
On the 17th of March, how long had it been since you'd seen your son?
I had seen him on his birthday, which was 1 month prior to that.
Where did you see him?
I saw him in Plesler's house.
Spent some time with him?
Yeah.
Why did you say he hadn't seen the children for 9 months?
Prior to that, Tyler had left Angela.
Listen to me. You told me that he hadn't seen the children for 9 months. He said he saw his son in February, a month before, which is true.
He did not come to our house.
I didn't care whether he came to your house or not. I don't care whether he saw the children at McDonald's. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
I asked you a question. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
Did he see his son in February of 2007?
He did not see his son on February 15th.
I didn't ask you about February 15th. I said, did he see his son in February?
No, he did not see his son in February.
I don't believe you.
He saw his son on March 28th when he left his wife Angela and came into town for a few days.
Are you on medication?
No, I am not.
There is no question in my mind that he saw his son in February, a month before the March incident. So when I asked you the question 4 times, you gave me an evasive answer. 4 times. Now I'm asking you one more time. It's very easy for me to find out. All I have to do is call Aaron. Did he see Aaron in February, anywhere, at any time during the month of February of 2007?
I'm telling you that I don't. He did not see his son in February. I would have known that because we were together. If he saw his son, it could have been at school.
Where did you see him in February?
I saw him the weekend before his birthday. I had a hotel room in Pleasanton at Extended Stay Hotels. His mother dropped them off there, all 3 of my
children?
Yes, they stayed with me for the entire weekend, including Monday, which was a holiday. Then I saw them later at her house in February.
Of 2007.
And I was there on his birthday.
On February 2007.
Yes.
Let's go, Sally.
That is not true. That is not true.
Just a second. You want me to call Aaron? Very simple to find out. He has a cell phone?
Yes, he does.
You want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? Do you want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? I hate to get him involved in this, but I'm prepared to do it because it's very important to me.
It's important to me to be able to speak as well. So
I asked you a question. Did he see his children in February of 2007. And I'm
Yes.
going to be able to
Yes.
find that out either through you or through Aaron, who I will reach
Yes.
on his cell phone.
On February 27th, yes. In February, Tyler saw Aaron.
Fine.
Judge Angela Ricker claims her husband's ex-wife falsely accused her of vandalizing her car. Sally is countersuing for car damage and lost wages.
Okay, now you're going to tell me that you saw Angela vandalize your car.
Yes, I did.
Is that you're going to continue? Let's go.
So on the way back out to the car, I was watching Angela as she had circled my car, and she started by standing and waiting for me, and then I saw her come around all 4 circles of my car with sort of a dragging movement with her arms swiping. And when I saw her out there, I had no idea what she could have been doing to my car. I knew that she may have been...
Don't tell me what you thought. I don't care what you thought.
Okay.
You have pictures of your car and you have a police report.
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
These are the 2 that printed out. And then this is the police report. It spans all 4 doors of my car. Unfortunately, there are only 2 pictures that showed up.
Did you scratch her car?
No, I did not.
Tell me what happened when you left Trader Joe's.
We got into the car and we went home. We were going to my grandmother's. When I go from San Leandro to Stockton, where my family is, we usually stop at that Trader Joe's. It's right off the highway. It's very convenient for me. After all of this happened, it ruined my trip and I went home. I was devastated. I was very angry.
What do you mean after all of this happened? What
Well,
happened?
she told Erin on the phone that I had done this to her car, you know, involved a 14-year-old in this. It just really, it hit. And then when I got accused of this and a police report was put out, brought into court.
Can I see the underlying paperwork, please,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
went along with her application for a restraining order?
Yes, ma'am. Since we've established that, most of that is fallacious. It's false.
That
She
is
knows
not true.
nothing about bipolarity nor schizophrenia.
Okay. And in your application for an order of protection, which is, I assume, written in your own hand, you say Angela came to my place of work unannounced, and she later called my son and verbally abused him. Did you speak to Aaron later?
I did speak to Aaron.
Tell me what happened when you spoke to him.
I spoke to him and I asked him why he was saying those things to
Saying
his
what
father.
things?
That I had vandalized the car, that I'd gone into her work looking for her, harassing, stalking, using those words. Aaron and I have never had any problems. I haven't seen the children in almost a year because of this behavior. I've refused to allow them in my home when I'm there.
Why?
Because of her. She debriefs them every time they go home. It's a drama from Friday to Sunday. Phone calls. It's just never a drop-off pickup. It's always something. And I couldn't handle it. Our marriage has been in jeopardy for almost 2 years because of this.
In your application for a restraining order,
Yes.
you say Angela is explosive
Yes.
and goes on and off her medication for schizophrenia and bipolar illness.
That's according to my ex-husband.
Did you ever tell her that?
Absolutely not.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
When did he tell you that she was bipolar and schizophrenic?
When he left her in February, it was February 27th, he left because they were having a domestic dispute.
Okay, so he left
And
in February.
in February, yes.
Go ahead.
I know I won't live that one down. I'm sorry.
You won't.
I know. I'm sorry. So, anyway, his brother brought him into town. He didn't have any money. He didn't have a job. Nothing. Brought him into town. He said he wanted to see the kids. And from that point, he had not seen the kids for 9 months. Okay?
So why would you tell me that he didn't see the children in February when he did?
Well, no, because I'm sorry, I'm really nervous today. I'm very, very sorry.
That's nervous is not an answer, madam.
was
You told me
February-
a very cogent story about everything that you allegedly saw, how she stalked your car, how she bent down, how she had sweeping motions. But when I asked you a question a half a dozen times, you refused to give me an honest answer about when your husband last saw his children.
He wasn't at my house on February 15th, which was Aaron's
I didn't
birthday.
ask you anything about February 15th. I didn't even know when Aaron's birthday was.
Okay.
I asked you February. You said 9 months. He said February. Wasn't until I was planning to call Aaron and find out whether he had seen his father in February that you finally said he saw him in February. Do you understand that that gives me cause to pause?
Yes.
Well, it does. Do you take medication?
No, ma'am.
You ever been diagnosed as schizophrenic?
No, ma'am.
Bipolar?
No, ma'am. Your Honor, it was not February 27th that we separated. It was the beginning of the month. He was in Point Reyes. He decided to stay there with a friend at a bed and breakfast to do some work on the home. He was at her house. He called me from her house.
I understand that.
Angela Ricker says her husband's ex-wife, Sally Ricker, falsely accused her of vandalism.
Now, you let him stay with your children? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Have your children spent time with the plaintiff in her home?
Yes, they have.
And they've come home in one piece?
Basically.
Not for a year.
Shh. Others to be protected. Absolutely. Angela has no discretion when she is angry. My children should never be anywhere near this person.
They have a history of domestic violence.
Was there a history of domestic violence with you?
I left.
That's just a second. That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
So there was a history of domestic violence with you.
With my husband.
So I got it. And you allowed that situation to go on more than once?
Yes.
You allowed your children to remain in a situation where there was domestic violence?
I left that.
You let it go on for a long time? Do you understand, Mrs. Richter? Do you have a full-time job?
I do.
How long have you been working for the same place?
This job I have currently is 4 months.
Do you have a significant other or a husband?
No, I do not.
Are you working? Take your hands out of your pockets.
Not right now, no.
Why not? Is not an answer.
I had a job up until April 1st working on airplanes. I was let go from that job.
Up until April 1st, were you paying child support?
I was.
How much?
$411 a month was taken from my checks.
How long had you been paying the $411?
Only for a month at that point, and then there was a large gap between that point and the last time I held a job.
Well, Mr. Richter, that's unacceptable, sir.
I understand that.
Very unacceptable. No, not
I'm
unacceptable.
injured, Your Honor. I'm injured.
Very unacceptable, sir.
I do understand that. I was injured at my last job.
Yeah?
And the injury prevented me from working.
What was the last job?
The last job was working for Vortex Stores.
Yeah?
And
what year?
From June to August of 2006.
Well, that's a couple of months, sir.
I understand that. I was injured. I had a severe back injury.
So that you were out of work for 2 months?
I was out of work until I got a job in March of 2007.
Who supports you?
Workman's Comp was supposed to be, but the company that hired me is fighting all of that, and so Workman's Comp did not pay my payments. That's currently
so you've been
in litigation.
You've been separated from your former wife since 2002.
Since 2002.
Since 2002. Until you were injured. Just listen to me carefully. Until you were injured in June of 2006, were you regularly paying child support?
I was. I regularly paid child support when I had a job.
That's not my question. Don't play with me.
Oh, I'm not playing
You two
with
people
you,
deserve each other. You two people deserve each other. Not when you were working. How old are you?
I'm 40.
You have 3 children.
I understand.
There is no question employed regularly. And I don't care whether you work at McDonald's or if you don't have another job, if you work at a car wash, drying cars, if you can't do something else. You have 3 children. No wonder she's furious with you. You work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a registered nurse.
So you earn a reasonable living?
Yes, I do.
So you support the family?
Yes, I do.
Right. No wonder she's furious with you. Collect cans if you have to, but you send money. And if she's angry with you, unfortunately, she took it out on the wrong person. Because I don't believe you, madam, that you saw her vandalize your car. I don't believe you. The case was dismissed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, did anybody else ask you the questions that I asked you about the name of this person who did your nails, why you traveled cross town to get your nails done? Was the person who tried this case?
No, he did not.
He did not?
No.
Because he doesn't understand that you don't travel cross town to just walk into a nail salon. You can walk into a nail salon anywhere. You don't have to travel 4 miles cross town to do that. A lot of baloney. I don't believe you. I believe that you're angry with him. And I believe that you're angry with her because she's an enabler, because she's working. He's not, at least on the books anywhere, and he's not paying support. I got that you're angry. But you can't do this. This is nonsense. And I don't believe you.
Well, I saw it happen.
No, it didn't. I think that you probably even scratched your own car. But I don't believe that she scratched your car. I don't believe that this professional woman scratched your car.
I wouldn't have done that to
No
my car.
way. No way. And when you lie to me once, I don't believe you again. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Start working, sir. That's what you're supposed to do. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Fine, Judge Judy, you may step out.
She's a liar. She's a known liar. She just proved it to the judge.
She's $20,000 behind in child support.
During the time that I was working, I did pay my child support.
She came out to my car and vandalized my car.
Jealousy. Look at her.
She was a little bit jealous.
I'm not a jealous type of person.
She stayed with me at our house, and she was upset with that.
She's got nothing. I've got it all.
He's not allowed to see the children right now.
Was that a threat?
She's made threats like that before. I see the children when I can, all the time.
No, that's not going to happen.
She's not going to stop me from seeing the children. I love them very, very much.
I hope she learns not to lie and hurt other people.
Seated, ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Holderbaum, Mr. Gutierrez is the cousin of your ex-husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, I don't know whether you were still married to your husband at the time. I assume you were. Is that right?
Yes, I was.
You co-signed a car loan, a lease, for Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And then something happened. You took the car back. And it ended up costing you a bundle for the lease. You want Mr. Gutierrez to be responsible. Mr. Gutierrez says, because of the way this all came down, it's your problem. When were you and your husband divorced?
Our divorce...
Or separated?
We separated in February of 06.
And when did you co-sign this car lease for Mr. Gutierrez?
September of 04.
Why didn't your husband co-sign for him? It's his cousin.
My husband told me it wasn't a good idea. I basically looked at it as he was a young man, a hard worker.
Your husband, who was his cousin, known him his whole life, said to you, "Don't do it, Shelley. It's not a good idea." And you want to know something? I would have told you the same thing.
I know, Your Honor.
Okay. So you co-signed this car lease for him. What kind of car did he lease?
Ford Expedition.
What did he need a Ford Expedition for?
For him and his family.
How large is your family?
I have my wife and one son.
You could drive a smart car with your wife and one son. What'd you need a Ford Expedition for?
Well, first of all, when they came out, I would like to have a Ford Expedition.
I would like to be 5'6". It didn't happen to me.
The thing is, sometimes I take my trucks to work, and I need more seats because I got like sometimes 3 to 4 helpers.
What happened to the truck that she co-signed for you?
Well, I had an accident.
Tell me about the accident.
Well, in Detroit, Michigan, where we live, it snows.
Just tell me it was in the
snow.
What did you hit?
I hit a post on the sidewalk.
A post?
Yeah.
Post wasn't moving, right?
No.
So what happened to the car?
It didn't start back. So I called Shelly and told her what happened that day. And she just told me, I got to call the police to make the report. So she was going to call the insurance and she will call me back.
What happened, Shelly?
Well, he hit a light pole, no fault. He called me. I told him, as long as you're not hurt, nobody's not hurt, that's great. Even though I co-signed, I carried the insurance on the vehicle because I was afraid. If he didn't make a payment, I would find out about that in 30 days. If he didn't pay the insurance when something like this happened,
gotcha,
I would have been up.
Gotcha, Shelley.
So what happened was it went to the body shop. They towed it directly to the body shop to the tune of $9,000 worth of damage, which wasn't even the problem, Your Honor. I had no problem. That's why they call them accidents. But while the vehicle was in the body shop, I received a certified letter from the DEA stating that Mr. Gutierrez was stopped in St. Louis, Missouri on January 19th with $309,900 in the vehicle. That's why he couldn't have the truck back.
So they were telling you that they were seizing the car?
No, they had given the vehicle back to him on site. They seized the money. They gave the vehicle back and released him.
What was $309,900 doing in your Ford Expedition?
I don't know.
Hidden in pants. It was just not in a duffel bag, Your Honor. It was hidden in compartments in the vehicle. So they basically ripped the truck apart, the whole interior, like plastic parts in the thing. The front console was ripped apart. Well, when I received that letter, Ford Motor Credit received the same letter.
Just a second. How many cars have you owned in your life? Give me an approximate number.
8.
I can't believe you're so much younger than I am. Probably owned 30 cars in my life. Aside from an occasional quarter that you may find, when you're cleaning out your car. Mm-hmm. What would you do if you found $309,900 stashed in your car in various compartments? Would you have thought that the tooth fairy really existed? Mr. Gutierrez, did you really like this truck? You said you really wanted this truck, right?
Right.
And you used it for your family?
Yes.
And you used it for your work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
Don't
look down.
Carpet
Look at me.
installer.
What?
Carpet installer.
Carpet installer.
Yes.
You do the work yourself?
Well, I have helpers.
That help you?
Yeah.
You go on the jobs with them?
Yes, ma'am.
You go on all the jobs with them?
Yeah.
So I assume if you have helpers, Mr. Gutierrez, you put them in the back of the car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you drive?
Yes, I drive.
And when you go out with your wife, does she drive?
No, I always drive.
So when do you think someone snuck this $300,000 into your car, Mr. Gutierrez?
Well, I'm not sure, ma'am.
Your Honor, and when he had the accident in February, less than 5 months, he had put 11,690 miles on that truck. And when I had called Mr. Gutierrez, because this was before I even knew about this happening, I called him, I said, you're only allowed at $12,000 a year. What were you going to do about all these miles? Because after $12,000, you're over for the year. He says to me, well, I was going to have somebody roll them back. I almost fell out. I said, you know,
Mr. Same person that put the $309,000 in his car.
He said, and I'm like, I'm a police officer. What are you talking about?
You're a police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Still a police officer?
Yes, exemplary, never been disciplined record.
Oh,
I know, Your Honor.
Shelley!
2.5 years of nightmare I've been living this to help somebody.
He's a nightmare.
I know, Your Honor.
Where did you travel, sir, in the first few months that you had this? Listen to me very carefully. Where did you travel, Mr. Gutierrez, in the first few months that you had this car while you were busy with your wife and your son and installing carpet to put 12,000 miles on it in 4 months?
It was almost 12,000 miles.
Where had you traveled, Mr.
Okay,
Gutierrez?
I went once. I went to El Paso, Texas.
El Paso?
And
from where?
From Detroit, Michigan.
From Detroit, Michigan to El Paso, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Probably where they stuck all this money in your car.
No, ma'am. And when I use it for work, just to go from my house to the shop where I pick up the material, it's 30 miles.
Detroit to El Paso is how many miles, Mr. Gutierrez?
It's 1,100 miles.
One way?
Yeah, one way.
And how long did you stay in El Paso?
I stayed like for 4 days.
Who did you go with?
With my grandma.
With your grandma?
Yeah.
What's her name?
It's
not an answer when I ask you your grandma's name.
Ramos.
How old is she?
She just turned 80.
What did you take her to El Paso for 1,100 miles in a truck?
She lives in Juarez. It's the border with El Paso, Texas. And I went there to visit my family.
You said you took your grandmother in the truck.
No, I didn't took her.
So you drove there by yourself?
Yes, ma'am. I drive from...
You see stupid written over here, Mr. Gutierrez.
No, ma'am, no.
Judge Judy, Shelley Holderbaum, says her ex-husband's cousin, Vicente Gutierrez, crashed a Ford Expedition that was leased in her name. Shelley says the vehicle was eventually seized by the DEA.
How much did it cost you because of the over mileage and because of ripping the car apart?
$1,272.21 for the over mileage. The deductible on his accident was $350. The repair for the broken parts inside the vehicle was $715.50. I also had to pay for the pole he hit in the city because the city waited till after 6 months to bill it. I have that right there.
How much?
So the insurance wouldn't pay that. That was $399.49. I had to make April and May's payment on the vehicle while I was in the body shop.
How much?
$500.35 for each month.
I gave her that payment.
He paid February, Your Honor.
How many payments did you make?
My ex-husband made March, and I made April and May.
You made April and May?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
payment did you make?
The last payment was February, and I paid her...
She paid March and April?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And May.
And I paid her for the pole that I hit, and I paid her all of the 2 deductibles for the insurance.
You paid that? Do you have checks for that?
No.
Did he pay you for that?
I have my checks.
No, did
for
he
those.
pay you
No,
back
he
for
didn't.
that? Your state is $3,000, is
Yes,
that right?
ma'am.
Because this comes to $3,271. Mr. Gutierrez, either you're the luckiest or the unluckiest person on this planet. The luckiest person on the planet would find $300,000 in their car. That would be the luckiest person in the planet. The unluckiest person in the planet would have $300,000 in their car and not be able to get it. So if you think that I believe the story that you're telling me, I don't. Somebody did something nice for you. Somebody who has a career in law enforcement. Somebody who could be humiliated. If somebody was doing something naughty in this vehicle, like transporting drugs in the car, a car that she co-signed for. Now, I'm not suggesting that that someone would be you, sir. I'm not suggesting that at all. The fact that I never found more than maybe 75 cents in a car that I've owned would not necessarily be dispositive in this case. But you cost her a bundle. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Are these excused when they step out?
I was on my way to El Paso and the police stopped me.
Well, I kind of feel like I got some justice in this manner.
And they found that one.
Maybe seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Book, the defendant is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint alleges that she owes you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
One from a loan, the other from another loan that you took out against your car in order to buy your mother a car.
Yes, ma'am.
A car that she ultimately surrendered, owing money on it, and you're paying substantial amounts of money for the time that she, in fact, had the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother says that while she acknowledges that you did some nice things for her, she said that all of that were gifts that you made to her, and she is counterclaiming. She alleges that you gave away some property that belonged to her deceased husband, who was not your father. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also a wedding ring that she wants back. Okay, so tell me about the first loan, sir.
The first loan was for down payment for her car. She came to me on April 27th of 07, and she asked me if she could go get a car. I took her to a local dealership where her credit qualified her for a car. However, she didn't make enough money to support a car. So they asked me if I would sign for it. The agreement was that she made the payments, and I agreed to it, and so I co-signed for her. However, they needed a down payment. So they asked me if my truck was paid for, and I said yes, it was. So we went to a local financial institution, and they took out the title loan for $2,500. Plus
a title loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that your truck was now encumbered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And they asked for an additional $200 deposit for the insurance. So while we were doing the agreement, we were signing all the paperwork. My mother looked at me and she asked me if this was okay. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I will pay you back as soon as I get my VA benefits. I said, yes, ma'am, that's not a problem.
What VA benefits?
When her husband passed away, we went to the local Veterans Affairs office in Lake Charles, and they said that she qualified for some death benefits. So they put all the paperwork in, and they said that she was going to be awarded it.
Did they say how much she would be
No,
getting?
ma'am, they didn't say how much. They gave us like a monthly statement of what she would get. If she got the full amount, she would get like $1,007 a month. If she got the other one, it was like $611 a month.
And how much were the car payments a month?
The car payments were $371.
Okay. So you took out this title insurance, and what happened?
What happened is 2 weeks after she got the car, she lost her job. So I had to figure out some way of having to pay it, both my loan, her loan, and supporting everybody, because her and my sister were living in the house along with my wife and my child.
So you have a wife?
Yes, ma'am.
Child, your mother, and sister were living with you?
And at one time we had my other sister and her 2 kids living with us as well.
And who was supporting them?
I was.
It's outrageous.
It's family.
Good boy. What are you saying no for?
Because it's lies.
Well, come up here and tell me what's the lie about it. First, tell me your first name.
My first name is Mary. My last name is Book.
Very good. Uncross your arms. Is it a lie that you lived with your brother?
No, that's not a lie.
Is it a lie that he helped support you?
No, that's not a lie either.
Well, that's what he said.
No, he said that he co-signed for the car, which is a lie.
Listen to me. We're talking about the car. You said that's a lie. She lived with him. You lived with him. Your other sister, for a period of time, lived with him, and her 2 children. And he was supporting you, because I assume you weren't working. Is that right? You were working.
Because I had no way to work. Because he got my car and thought my mom took sell my car to buy him the house.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I have the check.
Just a second.
They sold my car for $6,000, and that got the down payment to the trailer that he now lives in.
Okay, and when was that?
October of last year.
How long did you live in the trailer where he and his wife and child were living?
They got the trailer in October.
Right.
I moved out in December with my sister.
So you lived there 3 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Then she came back.
Did you come back?
I moved in to an apartment.
Did you come back?
Later.
When?
March or June.
Was it March or June? Those are very different months.
April, March, somewhere in between there.
And how long did you stay? Until when?
I moved out in March again, and I didn't come back until May. And then I moved back in May, and then we moved out for good in June.
So you lived there about 6 months altogether. And how long did your mother live there?
The whole time. From October to June.
Oh, then of course you gave him money for the trailer. Did you give him any other money when you lived there?
I gave him some money after the check came in. I paid 2 house notes. I paid a light bill.
So you had a house note?
Yes, ma'am.
In addition to the deposit on the trailer?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course. So, other than that, she gave him money because she had you, she had your other sister, she had herself, her sister's 2 children. They lived with him. He's paying a house note, and she gave him a $6,000 deposit on the trailer. Now you can sit down. That's what you're supposed to do. If you and your whole family want to move in with your son and you gave him a $6,000 deposit on a trailer and he's making the house payments on it for you and your family to live in, that's what you're supposed to do.
But, Your Honor, I moved my mobile home I was living in for 14 years off of my property for him to put his mobile home there.
So what?
He told me he would never, ever say anything about me not working. He did not mind me living there, because I did this for him.
And I'm telling you, he's not supposed to say that to you. You moved your whole family into the trailer that he was making the payments on. You lived there from October until June. She lived there for 6 months. Your other daughter and her 2 children lived there for 6 months. Who do you expect to pay for that? Every adult pays rent. You're a grown-up. So if you gave him $6,000 at the beginning of your stay, instead of making periodic payments, then what difference does it make? Look at it that way. But don't make yourself a victim. You're not a victim. Children don't support their 46-year-old parents. Parents support their children. How much money did it cost you when your mother surrendered this truck?
It was the car that she had to surrender, Your Honor. It didn't cost me anything. I tried to tell her about it. I went to her work, and I confronted her with this document right here showing that if she surrenders the car, that they would give us a 0 deficiency on the auto loan. So I approached her at work with this, and when I approached her at work, she got really defensive about it. And when I told her, I said, look, all you got to do is just surrender the car. They'll give you a 0 deficiency. We don't owe anything. They don't owe us. We don't owe them. It's like it never happened. She refused. She immediately responded back saying that's it. You have 10 days to get that trailer off my land, and I'm cutting your lights off.
So tell me what happened with the car. Did you surrender the car?
Yes, I did.
When?
The next Wednesday.
So what money are you out, Mr. Book?
The title loan on my vehicle. Well, in order to get her car, we had to put a down payment. That's where the title loan on my vehicle came on for her car.
I see. And the title loan was for how much?
$2,500.
So that you're not out any money for the loan, but you are out money for the title loan.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you actually took that money and put it down as a down payment. That's why you had no money that was owing if she turned the car in.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand.
Judge Judy, Mary Nixon owes for a title loan on a car and for a loan to pay court fines.
All right, now I'm ready to hear you, Miss Nixon. He's out $2,500 because you couldn't make the payments on the car.
Okay, whenever I got the car, he came, woke me up one morning and said, Mama, you want a car? And I'm like, well, I would like one, but I can wait for my money to come in. Because I didn't want a car note, really, because I really didn't make enough for a car note and insurance and everything else. So I said, I'll wait. And he goes, well, Mom, I got him on the phone. He wants to talk to you. And I'm like, Brandon, I don't want a car right now.
That's not true.
It would be nice to have a car.
Just a second. You know what happens, unfortunately, Miss Nixon, to some people when they're telling a lie? They get blotches on their chest.
I know, I just get nervous.
No. A man that's supporting a wife and child and supporting a sister and another sister and 2 children and a mother who I'm sure doesn't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, doesn't come in and twist his mother's arm to get a car. Baloney. You're not supposed to put your children in debt because you don't work. That's not what mothers are supposed to do.
I did not want the car. I told him I would wait.
Then you shouldn't have taken it. You're 46 years old.
He went to the car dealership
without
and said,
you.
I'm going to...
Just a second. Without you?
He went with me.
Did he drag you there? Miss Nixon, did he drag you there?
No, he said he wanted to go pick out him something.
Miss Nixon, you are so full of baloney. You owe him $2,400 first for that. What else does she owe you for, sir?
Whenever she was in Washington State, she was supposed to be gone for only a week and a half. She had 2 jobs, working at Walmart and working at Sears. She went to Washington on a one-way ticket to see my friend, and she was gone.
What was she doing seeing your friend?
Were talking on MySpace kind of thing, and
So a boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
She was grieving and went to see a boyfriend. How long was she gone?
She was gone for 3 months.
3 months. This was, I assume, before she got the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And I was contacted by a Sergeant Mouton of the Calvert Parish Sheriff's Department looking for her. I was then like, what does she do now? So I call her, tell her what's going on. Apparently she had had some checks that she had written back in like 1996, 97 for very little, like $25, $30 here. However, they just caught up with her. And they were looking for her to satisfy those checks. Then when she came back, I still supported her, tried to get her through the hard times. She just didn't take the hint, and I was getting really tired of it.
How much money did it take to clear the checks?
$150.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Who cleared the checks, you or your mother?
I did.
Where was she when you cleared the checks?
Being arrested at the time.
Is that right?
Well, not exactly. Like, I'm,
She's not a horrible mom.
No.
Did he pay $150 to
From
get you
selling
out?
the cabinets that he sold out of my house. I was upset at him. He gave away everything.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Everything in my house. He gave away my cabinets.
Just a second. Give me the month and year you gave.
February.
February of what year?
Of this year.
And when did you move out of the trailer?
I moved out in July.
You couldn't have been that upset.
Well, no, I'm not going to disown my child. I'm not going to do that to him.
You couldn't have been that upset. If he gave away the stuff in February, you didn't sue him. March, you didn't sue him. April, you didn't sue him. May, you didn't sue him. June, you didn't sue him. July, you didn't sue him. August, you didn't sue him. September, you didn't sue him. So if he gave away your stuff, he gave away your stuff. What's next?
The ring.
Whose ring is it?
It's actually ours.
No, it's mine.
Well, how did his wife end up with the ring?
I told her and him that I would let them use my ring as a token of because it was special to me.
Just a minute, you told them that you would let them use their ring?
Until he could buy one for her. And if they broke up and she moved out, that I was to get the ring. Yes, ma'am, I'm honored.
Fine. But first of all, A, I don't believe you, because I think that that's a lot of baloney that you just told me. But B, even if what you told me was true, let's see what you just said. You said you are letting them use the ring until he can buy her a new one, which he can't. Or until they break up, which they have not. Or if she moves out, which she has not.
But she did in between this time.
Oh, tell me when.
She moved out.
Just tell me when.
She moved out during the summertime.
Did you sue her then?
No, I didn't.
Goodbye, Miss Nixon. You got a problem. You owe your son $2,550. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Yes, he has taken care of me, and yes, I appreciate it, but that's what family does.
You know, I just wanted to go back to where, everybody was laughing and cutting up.
That he's actually doing this.
Hey, here's the joke of the day. Instead of, hey, we're going to Judge Judy.
He's actually suing me.
I really miss the good times.
Oh, yeah, it hurts.
Don't loan. Davis, step forward.
18-year-old Janelle Johnson is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Willie Davis, for the cost of earrings he purchased on her behalf. Janelle says Willie used her debit card to buy the gift.
Miss Johnson, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours, and it is your claim that he bought some jewelry for you, and it was a gift, but he put it on your credit card.
It was in my name. I wanted to establish credit, so I had him put it in my name.
Put the charge in your name. Was it a charge from a store, or was it a credit card?
It was his debit card.
And he didn't pay you for it? So
he paid the first fee when you go in the store. After that, he didn't pay anymore.
The defendant acknowledges that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes.
He was supposed to pay for the jewelry.
Your Honor, yes.
That he only made one payment.
Yes.
He doesn't say why he didn't make the rest of the payments, but says that you owe him some money that he loaned you for something, rent and some damage you did to his car. When did you buy this jewelry?
It was purchased sometime in June.
Tell me about how it got purchased. You were shopping with him?
He was going to Germany, I believe, he's in the military, and I wanted to establish some kind of credit because we went to purchase a phone together, and I found out I had no credit. So,
were you dating him? Or?
Yeah, that's the thing. We dated maybe 4 days before he actually purchased the earrings. So when I went to the jewelry store, and the only reason why I wanted it in my name was for credit, but the only one condition, that it would be taken out of his bank account every month.
Just a second. He acknowledges that he owes you for the jewelry. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you pay her?
Because, Your Honor, I lent her money for her rent.
And as well, okay, go ahead, Your Honor.
Just a minute. So that's what you're claiming?
Yes.
You're claiming that you didn't pay the debt that you owe because you loaned her money for rent.
Well, actually, what happened is she backed my car up into another person's car, and she cracked my bumper. On my way to Mexico, my bumper flew off because of what she did. So I call her, and I tell her, I said, you know, you're going to have to pay. I want my money back from the rent, as well as I want partial of what happened to my truck. And she lost it. She said she's not paying for nothing. She's going to get her money one way or another.
Well, sir, there is a paucity of evidence there on your side, sir, which means that you have no evidence.
I don't have any
like
evidence.
A picture of the car, like a bill to fix the bumper of the car. Where is all that?
I don't have it, Your Honor. But maybe Janelle, she'll tell the truth.
She doesn't have to prove anything. You have to prove it, sir.
Okay, you're right.
Of course, what do you mean I'm right? Of course I'm right. That's why people come here. That's why people adore me, because I'm right. Do you ever watch my courtroom?
No, Your Honor.
Then it was a big mistake for you to come here.
Okay.
Big. Because there are a lot of people that watch this courtroom every day.
Okay.
And a lot of people are going to see you making a fool out of yourself. How did you pay her rent, in check or cash?
I used the check, Your Honor.
Show me the check.
I don't have proof of it.
Why not?
Well, Your Honor, timing. I just had bad timing.
You had bad timing. What does that mean, Mr.
Because
Davis?
I work as well, Your Honor. I couldn't find time, you know.
To what?
To go and get proof.
You don't have to go anywhere, sir. You just bring your checkbook. And you go to the car place that fixed your car and you say, could I have a receipt? Because I can't find mine. Duh.
Okay.
All right, how much does he owe you on the ring?
It's $1,044.85 plus $74.24, which comes to $1,119.09. And then he paid $230 on his debit card, so $889.09.
Okay, you have any finance charges now?
Yes, I have late fees, total of $87.77. That's not counting the last month. I just paid $330 on the bill 2 weeks ago. That's not counting that, but $30 the subpoena, which I have because he failed to, I guess, take it, and then $50 of the cost to remove from collections, because this is when on my credit, affected my credit. Because it's on my credit.
Then you shouldn't have done it. Do you understand? You didn't need the earrings that badly.
It wasn't, Your Honor. He said he was going to get the earrings for me anyway, and I wanted them in my name so I could get credit. That's how it even came to he got them.
You knew him for 4 days.
No, I didn't. I knew him for 3 years, Your Honor. He's my
You
best.
were dating him for 4 days.
But I've known him longer than that. It doesn't matter how long I've dated him.
Wow. Mr. Davis, you owe $1,000. And if you wanted to bring a countersuit, which you filed, you should have been smart enough to bring some proof.
Well, Your Honor, I was working on it, but like I said, I work as well, so it was hard for me
You're a
to
hustler.
do. No,
That's being a hustler. That's trying to hustle me.
No, I'm trying to
You know how
hustle.
many cases I've done in the 12 years that I've been in this court? Tens of thousands. Do you know that nobody has ever said to me, well, Your Honor, you know, I was real busy. You know, and I didn't have time because I have a job, so I couldn't get proof.
Nah.
Nobody has ever said that to me, sir. They've given me all kinds of, you know, the dog ate my checkbook, right? The snake swallowed the pictures. But I never heard, I was too busy, I couldn't get anything. Nothing. My
I didn't want to lie
checkbook,
to
my
you, Your
checkbook,
Honor. I didn't want to lie, so I told, that's the truth.
It's not the truth.
Okay.
It's not the truth. Where's the car?
It's back in my place.
Where's the car? Does it have a bumper on the back?
Nope.
If it doesn't have a bumper on the back, sir, do you have a cell phone?
I do, but it doesn't have a camera on it, Your Honor.
It doesn't need a camera, sir. You see where I was going? All you have to do is spend $5 and go buy a disposable camera.
You're right, Your Honor.
How long did it take you to put that outfit together today for television? Right? To put the
not very
earrings
long.
in. How long? That amount of time when you go down to the local drugstore and you buy a camera for $5, you take a picture of the back of your car without a bumper. Then you wouldn't come here looking like a fool.
You're right, Your Honor.
Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I called him actually 4 times previous to this, before actually even suing, and he didn't want to settle.
She wanted to establish credit, so I said, go ahead.
It's my gift. It's my gift, and I want credit.
I mean, I haven't spoken to her since.
Well, we would still be friends if it didn't take me to have to go through this to get my money.
Don't do nothing for nobody.
Don't trust people.
All parties in the matter of Smith-Doucette versus Candido. Step forward, please.
Catherine Smith-Doucette is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old Kristen Candido, for crashing an uninsured car that was in her name. Kristen says it's Catherine's fault that the car wasn't insured.
Ms. Doucette, this young lady used to be your son's girlfriend. I assume this is the son.
That is it.
They are no longer a couple. But while they were a couple and while she was 17, she wanted a car. Was she living with you at the time?
She was living with my son.
Where's her family?
In Whitman, I think.
They live in Whitman, like a couple towns over.
And how old is your son?
21.
And how old was he when they started to live together?
Probably 19.
And she was?
17. 17.
Okay. In any event, you decided to help her out and get her a car so that she could continue to work. I don't know, were you going to school as well?
Yeah, I was working full-time and going to school at night as well.
Good. And there was an agreement that she would make the insurance payments on the car, which she did face on the car. They broke up. You wanted the car back, but keep it. She was, in fact, making the payments. To make a long story short, because that's what I'm good at, she had an accident with the car. She hit another car. The accident was her fault. Is that right?
Yes.
And the insurance company notified you that there was no insurance on the car. The insurance had lapsed a month before, according to you. And since you are the car owner, couldn't be in her name, she was only 17, right, you are responsible for the damage to the other car, the car that she hit, and also the car that you subsequently repossessed, her car. So you want that money from her. Ms. Candido's defense is that you should have had insurance. That's your defense.
Right. Well, there was insurance, but it got canceled, and I had no idea because I wasn't living there anymore, and it all went to her house.
When did you turn 18?
April.
April of 2007.
2006.
And when was the accident?
September 11th. 2006.
That's a very long time ago. What's
because I had talked to Kristen. She was at my ex-husband's house, and Shauna had seen her. So Shauna came up and got me because we lived next door to each other. And we went down there so I could get a hold of her because I didn't have her phone number. And she had told me then that she was making payments to the insurance company for the claim.
Can
she said she had made a
please?
payment plan.
I mean, this happened September of 06. Did you subsequently get a letter that it was in collections?
In February of 07.
Nice. How many insurance payments did you make, Ms. Candido?
I made all of them until me and him broke up, and she wanted the car back, so I...
Just a second. You made all of them until the two of you broke up. And when did you break up?
We broke up the end of July of 2006.
And when did you give her back the car?
September.
Actually,
Shh. Did you give her back the car before or after the accident?
After.
Oh. But you made all the payments on the insurance from the time you got the car.
Right.
Why did you let the payments lapse?
Because she wanted the car back, so I said, well, if we're going to set up a date to drop the car off, I'm not going to pay for a car that I'm not going to be in possession in the month of September.
But you were in possession of the car. Listen to me. You were in possession of the car, right?
Right.
Because you couldn't have had an accident with the car if you weren't in possession of it.
Right.
Right? So while you were in possession of the car, you had to insure it. Do you understand?
Yes.
But you didn't. If you don't have insurance and you're driving a car without insurance, you got to take care of the damage that you cause.
I had talked to her in August and said, all right, well, let's set up a date to drop off the car. And if I'm only going to have the car for half the month of September, then I'm not going to pay the full amount.
Fine, then you could have paid the insurance for the month of September and then said to her, I want half of the insurance back for September. You can't drive the car without insurance.
I did not know it didn't have insurance.
Well, you have to know it was your vehicle.
My name's not on any of the vehicle stuff.
You were paying the insurance for all the time you had the car. If you were paying the insurance for all the time you had the car, you knew when the insurance payments were due. You had to pay them every month, every 2 months. How often did you pay the insurance?
Every month.
Then you pay the insurance every month while you're driving the car. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
All right, good. So you have to pay the $3,179.28. Is that right?
Yeah, that's for the woman's car, but then I also had to have my car fixed.
Let me see it. Stupid again, will you please?
Oh, God, I know.
You know, I mean...
I know. I actually had to have the police get the car back from her. She didn't voluntarily give it to me.
Give it to me?
No.
Police seem to think so. When you're young and you take on the responsibility of having a car, you got to take care of it. So you have an accident, you have to take care of it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all. Thank you.
How is that excuse you may step out?
Well, just so happens that she thinks I'm at fault, so I guess I have to pay.
She lied to me, said she was making payment plans to the insurance company.
I was pulling out and I hit a lady, and the accident was my fault.
And then I got letters saying that was not true.
Just that she wanted the car back. Me and him weren't together anymore.
No, that's not true. When I found out there wasn't insurance, and like I said, I had to have the police go talk to her personally to get it.
Just never get involved with anyone's mother again.
I'm not putting my name on anything else.
You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Who is going to speak for the plaintiffs?
I'll speak for the plaintiffs.
Perfect. Tell me your name.
My name is Leanne Nazila Jameson.
Ms. Jameson, you're part of a poetry club.
I produce a poetry slam.
Tell me what that is.
Poetry slam is a competition. It's basically like debate with audience members making the decision about who wins.
These are part of your team? These
are the producers of 2 other teams.
You're the contestants?
Yes.
The defendant was a promoter of the poetry contest?
Yes.
You went. You weren't crazy about the way he promoted it. You had to sleep in a place you didn't like because the campsite wasn't as close as you thought it should be to the competition. Had some problems. Let's set that aside for the moment. The thrust of your complaint is that your teams won and he didn't pay, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And there was a set amount that was supposed to be paid for each of the winning teams?
Yes.
How many teams competed?
10.
And if you had paid them, how much would you have had to pay them pursuant to the promotion that you made?
Between the 3 teams, it would have been a total of $1,700.
There is no issue that they won, correct?
Correct.
You're going to tell me why you don't think that you had to pay. And then I will hear your counterclaim, which says that you were embarrassed nationally by things that they put on their website about you.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me a reason for not paying them.
For 10 years, I have put my heart and soul. Every year, I have met all of my commitments with regards to prize money, teams, etc. This particular year, due to events not of my control, we were hit hard at the box office. Financially, it was devastation for me. I lost something to the tune of $6,000 to $8,000 in the event.
Now, let me ask you this question, Mr. Thompson. When you say due to circumstances that had nothing to do with you, give me some of those circumstances.
Well, the circumstances were that on that particular weekend, unbeknownst to me, when I booked the event about 7 months earlier, there were 3 other very large events in the area, the MotoGP races at Laguna Seca Raceway, the Salinas Rodeo in Salinas, California, and the Bach Festival.
Okay, so that impacted on your attendance?
Massively.
Okay. Now, let's talk about last year. I assume you have a corporation?
No, ma'am. I am a private individual.
So that aside from putting your heart and soul into this business, you're in it because you make money?
Actually, no, ma'am. I have not made 1 red cent on this show for 9 years. I have, as a matter of fact, spent my money personally out of my pocket and my wife's pocket to cover all the debts all these various years.
Well, then you are a very, very, very good person. So this year you lost $6,000 to $8,000.
Correct.
And?
And due to the plaintiff's behavior, in full view of the public, of paying audience members and other participants in the event on Saturday, as they harangued me and accosted me regarding the campsites that they felt were not up to par, this impacted the event. This impacted sales. My box office manager here will testify that our sales were down on the following day, on Sunday, by a good 25%. On Saturday...
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
You had 3 other events that you didn't know about. I don't know whether they were booked before or after yours on that weekend, sir. That was something you had to find out.
To my knowledge, ma'am, those events were booked after that I booked mine. So when I booked mine, my event was completely clear that weekend.
Well, if your event was completely clear, do you want to explain to me, sir, why you didn't make arrangements for the campsite that was closer by a half hour to the venue? There were 2 campsites, according to what I understand. One is 25 minutes away, one is 45 minutes away. What?
It was almost a 2-hour drive to the second campground.
And by the time you got there were no places for these people in the closer campsite.
Correct.
So, as long as there were no other events that weekend, why didn't you book it in an appropriate period of time so that they didn't have to travel for 2 hours?
First of all, they did not have to travel 2 hours to get to the campsite. I've driven that. I've made that drive myself.
Could you please tell me why you didn't book the campsite where you had been previously?
Because the campsite were not available. The campsites what we have been going to for the previous 9 years, Andrew Molera State Park, is a no reservation, is a first-come, first-served campground. It is the only campground that we found that we believed to be suitable for the poets to come because we knew that they were coming up for a social experience and that they would want to be able to socialize at night. And every campground in the Big Sur area is got family-friendly policies, which means at 10 p.m. there's quiet time.
What's the name of the campsite that you stayed at in previous years?
Andrew Molera.
Andrew Molera.
And have the arrangements been made by the defendant previously?
Every time.
Ever had any problem with that before?
No.
How long did it take you to get there from the competition?
20 to 25 minutes.
Not even.
Maybe not even.
Yeah,
that.
I don't think it was that long. It's 8 miles from the venue.
And where were you staying this year?
Speaking for Team Oakland, we got a call about 1:45 in the morning from another team telling us not to even come up there because it was bad. They were being harassed constantly all night by the proprietor or the caretaker of that campground.
Okay, so that's what annoyed you to begin with.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
got it.
but
Whether
also,
it was right,
he didn't tell us. He hadn't told anyone that that's where we were camping. Up until when we left, Andrew Molera was on his campsite.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what you were annoyed about, and they're allowed to voice their annoyance. Reason whatsoever, sir, why you're not responsible for their $1,700, other than the fact that you got miffed.
Ma'am, I'd like to bring in my box office manager in this to help answer this question, please. I'd like to introduce Kim Mears to the court, Your Honor, if I may.
No, sir. I'm asking you why you didn't pay them. All that this witness can do is conjecture as to why your sales on Sunday were less than they were on Saturday. That's all she can do. She can speculate. You have a contract with the people that you are working with. Yes, you do. You have a contract. It could be a verbal contract. You have a contract with them. And you can't decide because you didn't like their attitude or their actions that you're not going to pay them their prizes if they won. And you acknowledge they won.
Yes.
So I'm still waiting for a reason, sir, that I can understand and appreciate, if you have one, why you are not responsible for paying them their prize money.
Ma'am, I had every intention of paying them their prize money, and I had every intention for months afterwards. However, because of the financial situation, it impacted my ability to pay. I also was unemployed at the time. I was unemployed.
So, if, Mr. Thompson, what you're telling me is, sir, that you know that you have a responsibility to pay them, you just didn't have the money, I'm prepared to accept that. Is that what you're saying?
At that, yes, I did. I did not have the money to pay. I had full intention to pay, and up until they filed this suit, I did have full intention to pay.
Oh, well, that's so. And now they filed the suit, and now you have no intention of paying?
No, ma'am.
All right, you get your $1,700, folks. You were absolutely entitled to your $1,700. Now, Mr. Thompson, you have some sort of ridiculous counterclaim, so you want to tell me about it in 30 seconds because I have places to go.
Judge Judy Poets, Leanne Nazila Jameson, Darren Jeffries, Charles Ellick, and Ramona Webb claim poetry competition organizer Garland Thompson failed to pay their contest winnings. Garland is countersuing for slander.
Go ahead.
These people have hurt my national reputation.
Of course, because you didn't. You stiffed them.
No, ma'am, it's not because I...
Yes,
ma'am,
you did.
Your Honor, Your Honor, I want to point out to you an email here that was sent by Darren Jeffries on July 29th, 7 days after the event. The 30 days, I had given them a time frame of 30 to 45 days for their particular team. The 30 days was not even close to being up when I am receiving an email here that is sent to the National Poetry Slam listserv, which has thousands of members all across this nation and in other countries.
Would you please tell me what you're complaining about, sir?
I'm complaining about the fact that I have worked very hard for well over a decade to produce this event. I have a reputation. This, by airing
our... Your reputation, sir, went down the sewer when you lost your job and had financial difficulties and you didn't pay your debt. And if they complained about it, and if they took space out on YouTube, MySpace, Google, or wherever the hell you do it when you're in the internet, that's their prerogative. If they had said something that was a lie, that would be different. They said that they didn't like their accommodations, and they said you didn't pay them their prize. That's it.
Your Honor, they had no right to take this to a public forum.
They have every right to take it to a public forum, Mr. Thompson.
Your Honor, this email is, again, I may point out, 7 days afterwards. They should not have even been contacting me until at least 30 days had been up.
Where does it say that in your agreement?
Since there is no written agreement, it doesn't say written agreement as to the time that I'm going to pay them. I have never put it in any writing. I have always said verbally.
Reasonable time. And you just acknowledged to me, sir, that you didn't pay them. When was this competition?
July.
July. August, September, October, November, December, January. 7 months. 7 months isn't 30 days, sir. And you said to me, up until they sued me, I was still going to pay them, but now I'm not going to pay them because they sued me.
No, that is, ma'am, I'm
for
sorry.
the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Your
Goodbye.
Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That way, please.
I think this lets promoters know.
This is the kind of thing that producers and promoters are going to possibly face.
You should definitely give the money that you owe us, or we will sue you.
Then there's absolutely no reason.
Have a seat, please.
Miss Cyrus, he used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He's a boyfriend with whom you made a... And you claim in addition to being an ex-boyfriend, he also is a debtor, that he owes you for 2 loans.
Yes.
Mr. Riddick says he doesn't owe you for anything. How old's your baby?
She will be 4 in May.
Did you and Mr. Riddick ever live together?
Yes, we did.
From when to when?
Probably from the beginning of 2002 until he went to college in 2004.
Okay, tell me about the first loan.
The first loan, he went away to college after we had our child, and about 9 months later, around April, he contacted me about coming back home. He didn't want to purchase a plane ticket. He found a car out there that he liked. And I let him know, like, why don't you just come back first, and maybe we can look for a car for you out here and do it better out here. What if the car breaks down on your way back? He said, no, it's a car he really likes, and he wants to fix it up. And plus, it will be cheaper, and he can help me with the baby by picking her up from daycare and so on and so on. If we had 2 vehicles, it would be better.
Were you working at the time?
Yes.
Were you living independently?
I was living with my mother at the time.
So, go ahead.
I explained to him the interest rate on it, because I don't have that kind of cash. The interest rate on the card that I can put it on is like 19%, which is a ridiculous interest rate to even pay that much money on. And I was like, and I still want to buy a house within a couple years. You know, if I do let you borrow it, it needs to be paid off. Yeah. So I finally let him borrow the money.
How much?
$3,600.
And you took that off credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he make the payments?
When he came back, random payments between September 2005 and July of 2006.
How many payments did he make?
He only made a total of 5.
And in what amount?
One was an amount 75, 30, 142, 117, and $40. A total of 404.
That's odd numbers. Why?
I took what I could at the time.
What do you mean you took what you could?
Well, because he doesn't keep a job that long, so whenever he was working and not going to school, he would give me money. So when he
Were you living together?
No, when he came back from college, we were not living together. He had another girlfriend. We've been not together. We've been back and forth. Like.
But when he came back, he had another girlfriend, and you had given him money for a car?
I gave him money before he came back from college.
And after he came back, he found a new girlfriend?
About a few months later, yes, he did. Well, he was talking to her. I found out now while he was away at college. So.
Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
You didn't have a new girlfriend after you came home?
No, ma'am. It took a while afterwards.
How long afterwards?
It was about 6 months till when we came to the realization.
Fine. So 6 months later, you now had a new girlfriend, and you had a car that she had paid for.
The car was stolen.
I don't care if it was stolen. What difference does it make if it was stolen or not?
Doesn't make a difference.
Who do you think's going to pay for the car?
It was a mutual agreement we had for our family.
You had no family.
At the time we
Family
were trying to work out our relationship.
That doesn't mean you have a family.
How not?
It's not a family. You're living in your house. She's living in her house. You just happen to have a baby. That's not a family.
Okay.
That's not even old-fashioned, but that's not a family. It's only a family if it's convenient for your mind. It's a family. Now, you're driving this car. Did you have insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't your insurance pay for the car?
Because the insurance paid $325 for the car.
Yes, and?
Yes, and?
What did you do with the $325?
I put it towards a down payment to get another car. As the story was told, when I was in school, it would have cost more money to ship all my things back from school.
Who cares?
To home.
Who cares? To whose home did you ship your things? To whose home did you ship
When
your
I first
things?
got back,
No.
I was at Amber's home.
Listen to my statement very carefully, Mr. Riddick. When you were going to ship the things, where were you shipping them to?
You misunderstood what I said.
No.
It would have cost more money for me to
I
catch a
understand
plane,
exactly what you're
catch a plane and ship my things back home.
Where were you going? To whose home were you going to ship the
Amber
things?
May Cyrus's home.
With her mother?
No.
That's where I stayed at before.
Did you come back there after you purchased this car and stay there with her when you came back?
When I first came back, yes. Afterwards, I left.
Just a second. For how long did you stay in her mother's house, sir, when you first came back?
About a week.
All right. And then where did you go?
To my mother's house.
That's better. Now, and when you went back to your mother's house, did you take all your stuff with you?
Majority of it, yes.
Yeah. What's the payoff on the car?
The payoff on the card, I don't have today's payoff. Because due to him not paying child support and stuff, I had to charge my own charges on this card. I only added up the interest that would have accrued for his purchase, because I did use the card.
Why do you expect me to figure that out?
I just times the interest by the 2 years that it's been that he owed me.
I can't do that. How much was the whole car? Listen, you're going to complicate my life. I don't disentangle people's problems.
The
Do you
whole car was
understand? That's not
$3,600.
my job. The car was $3,600 and he paid $404. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
$3,196. And when did you make your last payment on the car, sir?
I've never made a payment on the car.
She says you gave her $404.
That money that was given was to take care of my child before I was put on child support.
Have you been paying your child support
Yes,
regularly?
ma'am, I have my documents.
Have you been paying your child support regularly?
Yes.
Then can you explain to me why they, according to her at least, they repossessed your truck?
They never repossessed my truck.
Really? For child support?
No.
They take your taxes for back child support?
That's because I was put on, then took off.
Did
so
they
the amount,
pay off child support?
Yes, they did.
Okay, and how much did they take?
$930.
Did you contest that amount, sir?
No, I didn't contest the amount.
Then you must have agreed that you owed $930 in child support.
We had already went to court for the child support, and that's what they told me I had to pay from the day she filed until the current day we went to the
Right.
mediator. So that is what I was owed in child support.
Correct.
It wasn't back payment as if I wasn't working or anything.
No, it was if you weren't paying anything, sir.
Yeah.
Let's say this. Let's say they made an order for you September 1st to pay $100 a month, and you hadn't paid child support since January 1st. So they would say, well, if you paid $100 a month going back till January, then you don't owe anything. But if you hadn't been paying any child support, then they're going to say from the date of filing, this is what you owe. Now, had you been paying her child support?
I wasn't paying her directly child support, no.
Well, who were you paying it to?
I was taking care of Kimara.
And how were you doing that?
By supporting her. I had my daughter 3 days a week and taking her to and from daycare.
Who was paying for the daycare?
We were both paying for daycare.
Were you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
In the court order, it was, but not before that. When he was away at college, every time after, until I filed, I was paying the full amount of daycare. That's why I filed for support, because he wasn't helping.
As stated by Amber Cyrus, the original reason she filed for child support was jealousy, and that she wasn't getting her money on the 1st, and she needed it on the 1st. I was giving it to her when I got paid on the 10th. I got paid on the 10th and the last day of the month, and she couldn't wait 10 days to get that money.
My daughter would be out of daycare if I waited 10 days to pay daycare.
But as she stated, she was already paying it, so 10 more days could not have hurt her pockets that much, ma'am.
Maybe not, but she likes the idea of getting it through the court, and I don't blame her, because that has nothing to do with old girlfriend, new girlfriend, or, of course, old car loan that gets stolen.
Says the father of her child, William Riddick, owes for a car she bought with her credit card. Amber also claims William took money from their 4-year-old daughter's bank account.
You also took money from your daughter's savings account.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
My great-grandmother, I was awarded to go to her funeral. The day of, I got called into work to open the branch because they had a meeting. I was a bank teller, and they were supposed to let me off at 10. The meeting went till 12. When they came back, I just counted my tail out and left. And then I came back. They put me on administrative leave for just walking out. So from there, I got fired. From then, my savings account went to zero, and I needed money to pay my car loan.
So you had a new car that you were paying off?
Yes, ma'am.
Without paying for the old car
old
that got stolen?
The old
that
car
she
wasn't
paid
a
for?
loan.
Yeah, I find it's a loan.
Okay.
I find it's a loan. You're not her husband. If you were her husband and you
I
bought a
don't find it
car,
was
you
a
were a
loan.
family and living together, that's one thing. You're away in college, you have a baby, you go to college, very nice. Call her, I want to drive home instead of flying home. It'll be more convenient and it'll save me money. Well, it saved you a whole lot of money. Saved you everything. You didn't pay for an airplane ticket. You didn't pay to ship anything home. She put the money on her credit card, and you didn't pay. That's a pretty good deal.
How is it to pay for a decision that you make for your family?
You're not her family. Get over it.
Okay.
You're not her family. You're not any more her family than you are my family, sir. Family
I
is a
didn't lay
unit
down
that
and have a
stays
child with
together. Family, listen, everything has babies. Dogs, cats, fish, guppies, parakeets, they have babies. They don't necessarily have families forever. You don't have a family with this lady. You have a new girlfriend. How many children do you have? Just one?
Just one.
Just one. With her.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a new girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you live with her?
No.
You don't live with anybody. They're
I live
very
on my
simple.
own.
Good. That's not a family. Having a girlfriend is not a family.
I didn't say she was my girlfriend.
You just told me I have a new girlfriend.
You said it was my family.
No, I said having a girlfriend isn't a family.
Oh, okay.
Even having a girlfriend with whom you make a baby isn't a family, unless you live together as a family unit. Then, by some stretch of the imagination, you may be able to call that a family unit. Now, I can't figure out what he owes you with interest, madam. He owes you $3,196 minimally, right? That's without any interest. And
Yes,
if he
ma'am.
hasn't made any payments, add on another $1,000, that's $4,196. And what he's saying is he needed money to pay his car loan, and you'd let him take money out of your daughter's savings account that you put money away for
Yes,
her
ma'am.
future so that he could make a truck payment. That's your stupidity.
I understand that.
Then you deal with your own stupidity. Stop making payments for him.
I will. I did.
Good. You want to know why? The last mistake you should make with him is making a baby. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. He looks like a very nice young man, but he's not ready to commit to you or anybody. He thinks that because he has a child, he has a family. He'll make a couple of families.
Yes.
Right?
I know.
Right. Right. But right now he owes you $41.96.
Thank you.
That's it. Judgment
Thank
for the
you.
plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He feels if he has to pay me child support, he doesn't owe me any money.
Hey, women are women.
Hopefully he learned his lessons. I learned mine. So
Vindictive women.
the most important thing to me is my child.
I'm done.
For my future, I'm securing mine and my daughter's.
Have a seat.
Ms. Crawford, it's your claim that Mr. Endicott is responsible for you being severely burned.
Correct.
You want him to pay your medical bills that weren't covered by insurance, and in addition, a sum for the pain and suffering that you endured as a result of these burns. Mr. Endicott says that you were burned as a result of your own drunkenness. So tell me when this happened.
August 17th, night of August 17th, was laying next to, we were camping.
Who was camping?
Me, Mr. Endicott, my boyfriend Jeff, his 13-year-old daughter. I mean, there was a group of us and other children.
When had you gone camping?
I had gone August 17th, Friday.
When had you gone camping, Mr. Endicott?
I got there the same day.
And this was a pre-planned weekend, overnight, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you know each other before?
I had been introduced to him for my boyfriend one other time.
You two were friends?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me what happened.
The day was great. We were four-wheeling in the sand. The night started rolling on. Everybody was settling down by the campfire. There was some drinking, and I was only there for the night, so I didn't have a camping chair, so I laid down near the fire to feel the warmth and everything, and then all of a sudden, I went up in flames.
Did you witness what happened?
Yes.
Stand up, sir. Tell me your name.
Jeffrey Ablin.
Tell me what you observed on the 17th. Miss Crawford had fallen asleep around the fire.
Yes, we were.
Were you on a blanket?
No, and I wasn't sleeping. I was just laying there.
We were just, everybody was around the fire.
How many people were around the fire?
I would say approximately there had to have been a good 10 people.
Did you know most of them?
Yes, I knew all of them.
Who had made the fire?
All of us together, all the guys went out to the out onto the beach, and we towed back driftwood.
When you say all the guys, how many guys were there?
I would say there's probably a good 5 or 6 of us that went out there and gathered wood.
Including Mr. Endicott?
Yes.
Yeah. And how long had the fire been burning?
I would say it'd probably been going about 6 hours at least.
So it was late at night?
Yes, it was approximately about midnight, I would say, roughly.
Yeah, but the driftwood that we put on there, that's neglecting to tell you, is that it was
You're
wet.
going to have your turn. Go ahead, sir.
So we were all just hanging out by the fire talking, and I didn't actually see Scott throw the gas on the fire, but what I seen was a huge flame and her burst into flames.
After you burst into flames, what happened?
I started rolling. Jeff and a couple of the other guys all kind of jumped on me, pounced out the fire, threw sand on me. They all picked me up at that point, took me to the hospital there in town, the ER. At that point, I was in shock. My skin was sloughing off my legs. I have pictures of that. I don't recall a whole lot after the next 24 hours.
When did you speak to Mr. Endicott?
I actually didn't speak to Mr. Endicott until Wednesday. He came over to my parents' house.
And what day of the week was this?
That's Friday night.
So Wednesday you spoke to Mr. Endicott, and did he call you?
No.
You called him?
No. We were going through Jeff at that point.
You spoke to him?
Yes.
So tell me about the conversation. Did you call him or did he call you?
I seen him face to face.
And tell me about the conversation.
I had asked him if he was going to go to the hospital and see her because she was burned.
That's
And he told
fine.
me he didn't think it was his fault so that he wasn't going to go there. He was going home.
Did he offer an explanation to you?
Yes, he was throwing the fire to get it going better. And
Is that
he
what
did
he
not.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
Now you can sit down. Now I'll see the pictures. You're a nurse?
CNA, going to school to be a nurse.
So you were not able to work because of the open wounds?
Correct.
Is that right?
I work in a hospital.
Okay. All right, Mr. Endicott, you certainly have seen these photographs?
Nope.
Okay, sir. Let's start on the 17th.
When I got there, there was a small campfire, and everybody was doing their drinking and stuff. And I was going back and forth from that campground to another campground.
When were you going back and forth between the two campgrounds?
Just through the course of the night. Because I got there around 7 o'clock, and from 7 to about 10, I was going back and forth. Because I had family in another campground. And around 10 o'clock, I came back out there, and that's when everybody decided I decided to stay out there.
At 10 o'clock?
Yeah, around 10 o'clock, I believe. And me and Jeff and some other people went out and got some more firewood, and we brought it back, and the firewood was damp, and so we had it all stacked up on there. And through the course of the evening, the fire hadn't really started on the wood, and another friend asked if we could pour some gas on the fire. And when I went and got the can, another friend was going to pour it out of a cup, and I just told him I'd pour it out of a can. And
So
by the
somebody
time,
was going to pour it out of a cup.
Yeah,
What would be the reason for pouring it out of a cup instead of using a can?
I don't know. It just,
Well, try to think.
that's just the way he wanted to do it.
Would it...
No difference.
Don't pick your hand up. I don't need anything from you yet.
I mean, there wouldn't be any difference from pouring it out of a cup out of a can. I mean, the results probably would have been the same.
No, what I'm saying to you is if you're using a cup, I'm not a campfire girl myself. You may not have known that. But those people who know me know I believe in sleeping in a bed with running plumbing. So, but it would just seem to me that if you used a cup to pour liquid as, you could sort of gauge how much you were actually using, as opposed to using a can where you just go...
Out of the can, it came out of a can out of a hole that big.
I understand that, sir.
So
you decided to use the can?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what did you do?
When I was walking over to pour the gas on the fire, everybody that was awakened by the fire all moved away from the fire. So I thought it was safe to pour gas on the fire. She was on the other side of the fire, and the wood was stacked up pretty high, wearing dark clothes, and nobody could see her.
No, not nobody.
I couldn't see her.
Judge Judy confirmed Scott Endicott threw gasoline onto a campfire, causing her to be severely burned. Scott claims Stacy is partly to blame.
So whose fault is that?
I think it's both of our fault, because...
Don't tell me why you think it's both of your faults. Let us say that I believe you when you say she was, because I read your answer, that she was probably sleeping because she had had too much to drink. Let's say I buy that 100%. Explain to me why that's not your fault.
It is my fault for her getting burnt, but I don't feel financially responsible for it.
Well, why, if it's your fault for her getting burned, why aren't you financially responsible, Mr. Endicott?
Why isn't she responsible for her own actions?
What are her actions that caused her to get burned?
Being inebriated.
Yeah. So were you. So was everybody else that was there. They had been drinking all night. You had been drinking in between two campgrounds. You were all drinking. How does the fact that she was drinking, sleeping, make it her fault? Don't you get that? It's your fault. Let me give you an example, Mr. Endicott, of the lunacy of your position. Okay, sir? Pay careful attention to me. Let's say you're drunk and you get behind the wheel of a car, just like you pick up a can of gas while you're drunk, and you're driving along and you hit somebody who is sitting in their car in a no parking zone. They're sitting in their car, not moving. You're drunk in your car. You plow right into them. You think it's an argument in your defense that they're sitting in a no parking zone?
Not in that situation, but what if
Of course not.
What if she
Of course not, because the fact, sir, that they are sitting in a no parking zone has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you recklessly got behind the wheel of a car while drunk and drove that car into the parked car. Similarly, Mr. Endicott, the fact that you did not secure the area by walking around the perimeter of the fire to make sure nobody was there before you poured gasoline on it is your fault. Not her fault that the wood was piled too high so that you couldn't see over it, or it was dark, or that she chose to wear dark clothing when she was sleeping at the fire so you couldn't see her. If you had walked around the fire, you would have seen her, right?
Yeah,
You didn't. Whose fault is that?
I guess it's mine.
Ah, now we're getting closer to it. If it's your fault that she got burned because you were negligent and careless, you're responsible. Do you understand that? Just say yes, ma'am. Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Please excuse me, step out.
I think it was bullcrap.
I think it's the right decision.
If somebody's drunk, they should be able to be responsible for their own actions.
He needed to take responsibility, and he didn't.
She was being a lush. She was drunk. She just didn't know what she was doing.
I was not being a lush. I was not falling down. I wasn't, being ridiculous.
It was very frightening.
I went up in flames.
It's not going to change anything for me.
He told me to my face he can do whatever he wants. He can throw gasoline.
I'm going to be more careful about who's there.
Whatever you choose to do, you got to take responsibility.
Mr. Artist, the defendant used to be your...
Ex-girlfriend.
She used to be your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Now she's your ex-girlfriend. And it is your claim that she's had a couple of hissy fits. One of them caused her to vandalize your car, and one of them caused her to damage the door on your house. And Miss Addie says she didn't do any of that. Right?
Right.
You don't want to fib to me, do you, Miss Addie?
No.
Would not be a good thing. Tell me when you broke up with him.
From the first time, or
No,
from
the
now?
last time.
Okay, so the last time we broke up, it was something about this girl texting his phone.
So it was about another girl. You thought he was cheating on you.
Right.
And that's when you broke up.
Mm-hmm.
Were you very angry?
No, not really.
How angry were you?
I wasn't angry. He was the one that was angry. He tore my trash bag and threw lighter fluid on my clothes.
Okay, so he tore up what?
The trash bag that I had my clothes in, and threw lighter fluid on him, attempting to burn my clothes.
And did he ruin your clothes?
No, just put lighter fluid on them.
And what day was that?
Yeah, like back in November or something of 07.
Did you move out?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Back to my parents.
Now, when did this thing happen with your car, sir?
That happened on the 9th of January of 2008.
Tell me about it.
Well, I was at school, and as soon as I got out at 11:15, my cousin had called me stating that Micah had slid a note up under the door.
You can't tell me what your cousin said. That's hearsay.
So I got home, and I read the note, and the note stated...
When you got home from school, you found the note under your door.
Yeah.
Do you take your hands out of your pockets. What did the note say? Do you have it with you?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. Why are you so angry with him? What was he talking badly about you?
Him and his baby mom went to North, like saying bad things about me. He has girls coming knocking on my door trying to jump on me. He cut my phone off when it's not in his name. What else? I mean, it's basically like harassment for harassment. He harassed me, I harassed back.
Oh, good. Now, in this note that you left for him, Miss Addie, you say, I'm not walking around here babbling about how phony your baby mom is or how badly I'm going to your car. Why do you mention his car?
To stop him from saying things about me. It was just like to frighten him or whatever.
Okay. Keep going.
Well, after I got the note, I called and made a police report about the note. My mom had wanted me to take the truck down to get an estimate because I was supposed to trade it in. And when the guy had asked me to unlock the back door, I noticed a long scratch across the back door that just wasn't there because me and my mom had walked around the truck previously because every time I use it, she does a walk around.
Excuse me.
Why?
Just because.
Go ahead.
And after I saw the scratch, I made another police report about the scratch.
On what date did you make another police report?
The same day I got the note.
January 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. Go Go ahead.
Then we had a court date for February 7th.
For what?
For criminal damaging to my door. That case was dismissed, but there's to be no unlawful contact. Why she's still contacting me, I don't know. I didn't give her my number in the first place for her to call me.
What happened to your door?
Text you from my phone?
What happened to your door?
On New Year's Eve, me and my baby mom was at my apartment. It was 1:12 to 1:17 because I had just laid in the bed. And somebody knocks at my door. I'm thinking it's my cousin because he had just left. So I opened the door, and it's her play sister, Star.
What do you mean her play sister?
God sister, as she would call her. Then I'm like, okay, what do you want? She like, a phone turned off. I'm like, no, why are you at my door? She was like, oh, okay, you know you're going to get your A kicked. So I politely closed the door. Went on, laid in the bed. All you hear is da-doom. They just kicked the door. I didn't even do anything. I just laid in the bed until that next morning, and I got up and I made a police report. Okay. Then she stated that my apartment was on fire, that somebody robbed my apartment, and she sent me text messages in my phone, and I still have those. She left me a voicemail stating that she kicked and dented my door.
I'd like to see that.
Just hit the play button when she's ready. It's the button over there.
Okay, I guess you have to
Could
put
you
this
read
up to you. No, it's still on the, just press play.
Where is that?
It's,
He leave voice messages on my phone too.
Why did you leave these messages for him?
Okay, right. Just as he has text messages saying that, well, my phone, he saves his, I don't. He sent me text messages. I had a voicemail on mine how he talking about, oh, you can never do this and all this other crazy stuff. Like, just like I said, he harassed me, I harassed back. I mean, he sent, if he calling my phone, threatening me, cutting my stuff off, and it's not even under his name or nothing, what was I supposed to do?
You're supposed to leave him alone.
If he's messing with me first.
He doesn't want to mess with you. He doesn't want you anywhere near him.
Okay,
he has moved on with his life.
Right, and I have too. What was the whole point of him moving into my apartment building? Just like that car is in his
Why
either.
did you bang in his door?
I didn't bang in his door.
What did you do?
Not.
Judge ex-girlfriend Micah Addy keyed his car and broke the front door to his home. Micah is denying both charges.
Why did you go to his door New Year's Eve?
It wasn't New Year's Eve. I got this on my door. This is a paper stating that I had restricted service. Doesn't say nowhere on here about Benjamin. Because I know that he was the last person I had an encounter with, I knocked on his door about it. I said, we need to talk.
At 1:30 in the morning?
It wasn't 1:30 in the morning, ma'am. It was not.
She's talking about when Star came over.
She wasn't there when I knocked on his door.
What for?
This is why I went to his door. He is the reason why I went to jail.
That was on the 9th.
Right. This was on the 9th.
I'm not talking about the 9th.
The 9th. Saying on the 1st she wasn't at his door.
I wasn't at his door, right.
It's 2 different days.
Ma'am, can I say something?
Sure. First, stand up.
Okay.
And tell me who you are.
I'm Stacy. I'm her mother. That right there, she knocked on his door on January 9th because that was on her door. She did not know what that was.
So what you knock on his door for?
Because it says there, if you read the bottom, it says they restricted service to a person named above. There's nobody's name on there. It does not have any name. She knows that they have been having a confrontation.
So
she
what did she go to his house
to
for?
see what that paper was for. That's why she went up there to see what the paper was for.
She had already, on that day, sent this letter.
That was the day before.
Have you seen this letter?
No, I have not seen it, but I know about the letter. She told me about this.
I want you to try to use your common sense.
I have it.
Right? He's got a new girlfriend. He's got a new girlfriend who's pregnant.
Well, my baby is now 10 months.
Do you live with her?
No.
Oh, so that's over.
Yeah, I stay by myself.
Do you see her?
Yeah.
But you're not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. Listen out there, folks. His mother?
Yes.
He's got to be occupied a little bit more.
I understand.
More positive things. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
He doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. Does she have a new boyfriend?
No.
But I had one after him, though.
She has to leave him alone.
Okay, and my daughter tells me that he contacts her It's the same. Like she said, he saves it.
Show me.
She can't.
Just,
Right? She
I
doesn't
can go to
save it.
T-Mobile and print them out.
Yeah,
I mean,
should
if you
before
give me a
came here.
subpoena,
just a
I can
second.
go.
Just a second.
Forget it.
That's easy, but that's what you should have done before you came to court.
I needed something from court saying that.
No, that's what you need before you come to court. Not once a year and say, well, give me time and I'll go and I'll get it. That's not what court is about. You've watched this court program long enough to know that when you come to court, you have your evidence with you. Evidence. You brought this, but if you're claiming that he's the one who's harassing you, then you get the proof of it. You don't just tell your mother that he's annoying you. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense that she's angry. It makes sense that she's annoyed. You have no proof that you've damaged your car. That's number one.
I have a witness statement, and I have the pictures and the estimates from my...
Listen to me. You may have statements,
It's not
which I
his
don't
car.
read.
It was in my possession.
You have statements, which I don't read,
Mm-hmm.
because they're hearsay. If you had someone that saw her damage your car, I would hear them. Here.
Okay, I'm sorry, but the day that she got out of jail, she told a mutual friend of ours,
Listen to
and
me.
they're terrified
Listen
to
to-
fly. So
No,
that's why
just-
she's not here today. We have a notarized statement that we got done the day she told me about the whole situation.
Listen to me carefully, sir. I can't help you. I need a witness. That's what courts are. They're about witnesses. They're about having the ability to confront somebody who's accusing you of doing a criminal act. Do you understand?
Sure, can she call her?
What do you want? You're not understanding what I'm saying?
Would you be able to call the person who's...
Absolutely not. That's the only proof that you have that she damaged your car.
Yeah, it's a witness statement because she's terrified to fly.
Can't help you. Should have stayed in your own jurisdiction and sued her where she wouldn't have to fly.
Actually, I tried that. She didn't want to sign the paper.
You want to withdraw this case and go back to the jurisdiction where your witness can come in to testify without having to fly? I'll be more than happy to do that for
If
you.
she's willing to sign the papers to do that, we
They're
tried
willing
that
to
the first
sign
time.
what paper? She doesn't have to sign anything.
I never received
The
any
certified
papers.
mail paper that came to her.
She doesn't have to sign anything, sir. If she doesn't accept her certified mail, all you have to do is have her personally served. Get a process server and personally serve her. But because somebody is afraid to fly is not a reason to take a notarized statement. Do you understand?
Yep.
Do you want me to withdraw this case so that you can proceed against her in the jurisdiction where you
No.
live and your witness is?
No.
Good. Then your case is dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
You are excused. You may step out.
She took a phone number out of my phone.
The text came through or whatever, and it said something about them.
Text my ex-girlfriend.
It doesn't really even matter.
She's a snoop.
Probably when I get home, probably gonna hear more about it.
We'll probably be back next year.
He's gonna run his mouth
I mean, honestly, people are crazy.
and keep stuff up and going. So therefore, it's probably not.
হ্যালো ফ্রেন্ডস, ওয়েলকাম ব্যাক টু মাই চ্যানেল। কেমন আছো তোমরা সবাই? আশা করি সবাই অনেক অনেক ভালো আছো, আর আমিও খুব ভালো আছি। তো তোমরা সবাই অনেক দিন ধরে কমেন্ট করছো যে রোদে পুরো স্কিনটা কালো হয়ে গেছে। এখন যেহেতু শীতকাল, সবাই এদিক ওদিক ভ্রমণ করতেছো, ট্যুরে যাচ্ছ, তো ওই কারণে স্কিনে ট্যান পড়ে গেছে। তো এটা তোমরা কিভাবে তুলবে ঘরোয়া রেমেডির দ্বারা, সেটার জন্য আজকে ভিডিওটি করছি। তো খুবই সহজ একটা রেমেডি শেয়ার করব, খুব বেশি ঝামেলাও নেই আর খুব বেশি খরচাও হবে না। তো তার জন্য প্রথমে তোমরা একটা বাটির মধ্যে নিয়ে নেবে হচ্ছে টক দই। আর টক দই এখন তোমরা যে কোনো মিষ্টির দোকানে পেয়ে যাবে, অথবা ঘরেও তোমরা দুধের সঙ্গে কিভাবে জানি তৈরি করে, দুধের সঙ্গে কি কি দিয়ে তোমরা ইউটিউবে ভিডিও আছে যে কিভাবে টক দই তৈরি করবে আর মিষ্টি দই তৈরি করবে, ওটা দেখে তোমরা ঘরে দই তৈরি করে নেবে। তো ওই দইয়ের সঙ্গে তোমরা এখন অ্যাড করবে হচ্ছে 1 থেকে 2 চামচ পরিমাণ টমেটোর রস। এরপরে হচ্ছে তোমরা অ্যাড করবে 1 চামচ পরিমাণে বেসন আর 1 চামচ পরিমাণে হচ্ছে মধু। এগুলো দিয়ে খুব ভালো মতো গুলে রেমেডিটা তৈরি করে নেবে, একটা পেস্টের মতো তৈরি করে নেওয়ার পরে এবার মুখটা খুব ভালো মতো ওয়াশ করে নেবে। যদি মুখে মেকআপ থাকে তাহলে ফেস ওয়াশ দিয়ে ক্লিন করবে, আর যদি মেকআপ না থাকে তাহলে নর্মাল পানি দিয়ে মুখটা খুব ভালো মতো ক্লিন করে মুছে দেন হচ্ছে রেমেডিটা অ্যাপ্লাই করবে। আর হ্যাঁ, এই রেমেডিটা শুধু মুখে না, তুমি চাইলে গলা, ঘাড়ে বা হাতে পায়েও লাগাতে পারো। এটা মানে সব স্কিনটাকে উজ্জ্বল করতে সাহায্য করে। আর এখানে যেহেতু টক দই আছে, টক দইয়ের মধ্যে থাকে ল্যাকটিক অ্যাসিড, যেটা কিনা হচ্ছে তোমার স্কিনটাকে ব্রাইট করতে সাহায্য করে এবং এক্সফোলিয়েট করে। মানে তোমার পোর্সের ভিতরে যে মোড়া চামড়াগুলো জমে থাকে, বিশেষ করে শীতকালে অনেক বেশি পরিমাণে ডেড সেল জমে থাকে আমাদের স্কিনে, তো এটা কিন্তু সহজে যেতে চায় না। তো এটা হচ্ছে তোমার বেসন আর টক দই বেশ ভালো কাজ করবে। যেটা জিনিস যেহেতু এখানে আছে, সেই কারণে হচ্ছে তোমার স্কিন থেকে সেই ডেড সেলগুলো দূর করবে এবং তোমার স্কিনটাকে কিন্তু অনেকটা উজ্জ্বল আর ফর্সা করে তুলবে। সেই সঙ্গে দাগ ছোপগুলো কিন্তু দূর করতে সাহায্য করে এই টক দই। আর যেহেতু মধু আছে, মধুটা আমাদের স্কিনটাকে সফট করবে এবং কি নরম রাখবে, উজ্জ্বল করবে, কারণ মধু কিন্তু প্রাকৃতিক একটা ময়শ্চারাইজারের মতো। শীতকালে যদি আমাদের স্কিনটা ড্রাই হয়ে যায় তো ওই জিনিসটা কিন্তু আর হবে না মধু থাকার কারণে। এটাকে 20 থেকে 25 মিনিট রেখে এরপর মুখটা খুব ভালো মতো ধুয়ে নিলে কিন্তু তোমরা একটা উজ্জ্বল স্কিন পেয়ে যাবে। তো আশা করছি ভিডিওটি ভালো লেগেছে, ভালো লাগলে লাইক করবে, চ্যানেলটাকে অবশ্যই সাবস্ক্রাইব করবে। দেখাবো নেক্সট ভিডিওতে। টাটা, বাই বাই।